Chapter 751. Compensation for demolition. Although Mrs. Tang knew how powerful Lin Yi was, she was still afraid of the people from Qibing Real Estate. Those people were like the mafia, overbearing. If it wasn't for Lin Yi's protection, she wouldn't dare to come into contact with them. It's like this. Didn't we demolish your house before? So, the compensation for your house has been approved. We would like to invite you to the headquarters of Qibing Real Estate, Qibing Tower, at 8 a.m. tomorrow to discuss the compensation with us, Su Jiaonong said. There's compensation? Mrs. Tang was taken aback. She thought that the 3 million Lin Yi had asked for already included the compensation for the demolition. Why was he giving her money now? Mrs. Tang was shocked. Of course, we demolished your house, so we'll naturally give you compensation. Su Jiaonong said, of course we've set the number at 2 million. You'll have to come tomorrow to discuss the details. If you think it's not enough, you can bring it up tomorrow. Okay. Is it 8 a.m. tomorrow? I'm coming over. Mrs. Tang was shocked. Another 2 million for no reason? Okay, after you arrive, take the elevator from the underground parking lot and go to the second floor. You'll see the demolition team there. Su Jiaonong hinted to Mrs. Tang to let Lin Yi drive her there. Okay, I'll remember it. No problem, see you tomorrow. Mrs. Tang quickly noted it down. After hanging up, everyone looked at Mrs. Tang in confusion. Wang, what's wrong? What compensation? Xiaofen's mother asked curiously. Didn't my house get demolished? Someone called Su Jiaonong from the demolition team of Qibing Real Estate called me and asked me to go to his company tomorrow to get the compensation. 2 million. Mrs. Tang was shocked by the number herself. Her house was worth at most 100 to 200,000. How could they compensate 2 million? Mrs. Tang's first thought was that it was Lin Yi's contribution. Wasn't Qibing Real Estate managed by Zihua and Master Bing? Could it be that Zihua was afraid that Lin Yi would cause trouble for them, so he came to please Lin Yi? Thinking about it, this was the only possibility. 2 million. When Xiaofen's mother heard this number, she was immediately dumbfounded. The other neighbors were also the same. After hearing this number, they were suddenly shocked and didn't know what to say. Your house is worth 2 million? Lu Xinwen's mother asked in surprise. They are afraid of Lin Yi, that's why they gave us 2 million. Otherwise, that broken house is not even worth 200,000, let alone 2 million. Although Mrs. Tang said it calmly, she was very happy in her heart. Like I said, our broken house is worth 2 million. We can even buy a villa with 2 million. Xiaofen's mother shook her head. It's already not bad if they can give us 80 to 100,000. Don't say that. This kind of thing depends on negotiation. Mrs. Tang laughed. Xiaofen's mother and Lu Xinwen's mother sighed. Negotiation? Our family doesn't have a powerful figure like Lin Yi, so where would we go to negotiate? Will they negotiate with us? Xiaofen's mother and Lu Xinwen's mother were a little dispirited when they thought about the gap between their family and the developer. They chatted for a while and left to discuss how to deal with the developer. Previously, they thought that Tang Yun's family was very unlucky. They were the first to get their house demolished. But now it seemed that they were the best. After the neighbors left, Mrs. Tang immediately told the good news to Tang Yun. Qibing Real Estate Company just called me. They want to compensate us 2 million for the demolition fees. Mrs. Tang just saw a huge sum of 3 million, and now there was another 2 million. She wasn't as excited as before. They want to compensate us 2 million? Really? Tang Yun didn't believe it. Didn't they just compensate us 3 million? Why do they want to compensate us 2 million today? I don't know. Maybe they are afraid of Lin Yi? They want to spend money to please Lin Yi and are afraid that Lin Yi will cause trouble for them again? Mrs. Tang guessed. Yesterday that Li Zihua was quite afraid of Lin Yi, right? Please? There's no need for that, right? Tang Yun heard her mother's words and became suspicious. Although he is afraid of Lin Yi didn't say anything. There's no reason for them to give us money on their own, right? This doesn't make sense, right? Doesn't make sense? How is it not reasonable? Isn't it good that they are giving us money? Mrs. Tang felt that Tang Yun was being too careful. It's not that it's not good, but why would they give us money? Mom, I think there's something wrong with this. Tang Yun felt that something was wrong. Why would Li Zihua give them money on his own initiative? When Lin Yi asked for 3 million, he was unwilling to give it to him. Why would he give it to them on his own initiative now? Won't we know tomorrow whether there's a problem or not? Mrs. Tang didn't care. Tomorrow at 8 in the morning, they want us to go to the second floor of Qibing skyscraper to collect the compensation. Can you ask Lin Yi if he is free and ask him to go with us? Oh. Tang Yun wanted to ask Zihua what he was up to, but Zihua didn't seem to care. He gave them 3 million before and now he gave them 2 million. Lin Yi received Tang Yun's call on the way to school. When he heard from Tang Yun that Qibing Real Estate wanted them to go to Qibing Skyscraper to collect the compensation tomorrow, Lin Yi was stunned. The Qibing Skyscraper is finished already? Tang Yun thought that Lin Yi would be curious about the compensation, but she didn't expect Lin Yi to ask such a question. She couldn't help but be amused by Lin Yi. Why? Do you want to demolish it again? Oh, I'll demolish it again if you piss me off again, Lin Yi smiled. His skyscraper collapsed and he still wants to give you money? Are you retarded? I think so too. Do you think there's a problem here? Tang Yun had been worried about this problem. Aren't we idiots if we don't take the money? Lin Yi didn't think there was a problem. Since they are giving us money, I'll go with you tomorrow. But Tang Yun still felt that something was wrong. Even if there is a problem, what can we do? I'm here, what are you afraid of? Lin Yi was clear that even if Li Zihua and Zhao Qibing wanted to do something, what could they do? His strength had completely recovered, and it was impossible for them to make him stay. Tang Yun heard Lin Yi's words and nodded. Yes, with Lin Yi here, what was there to worry about? Chapter 752. House you came. After ending the call with Lin Yi, Tang Yun sent a message to her mother, telling her that Lin Yi would accompany her to Qibing Building to get the compensation. Mrs. Tang was relieved when she heard that Lin Yi would be accompanying her. Zihua was so afraid of Lin Yi, so she believed that he would be able to get more compensation tomorrow? From Su Jianong's tone, it seemed like the compensation could be increased. Lin Yi didn't think much about it. When he returned to school, he was relieved to see Miss and Yushu in the classroom. Lin Yi felt that these were troubled times and he should be more careful. Lin Yi's feeling was right. At this moment, in the office of Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company, Fatty Lai's office, there was an uninvited guest. Although the products of Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company hadn't officially entered the market yet, the company was already starting to take shape. It was completely reformed from the previous trading company, and only a few new departments were added. This was a piece of cake for Fatty Lai, a veteran in the business world. After Fatty Lai accompanied Lin Yi and Tang Yun to buy a house, he returned to Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company. He used the poisoning incident of Songshan's first school to make a name for Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company. Fatty Lai wanted to follow up and release his company's first product, Miracle Dr. Guan's injury medicine, into the market. Fatty Lai was preparing a marketing plan and wanted to have a meeting with the higher-ups of the company. But when he returned to the company, his secretary called. Boss Lai, there is a client who wants to see you. He said that he is from Yanjing and wants to discuss a collaboration with our company. The secretary said, Do you think? I'm already back at the company, where is he? Fatty Lai was startled. His company's products weren't even released into the market and someone wanted to discuss a collaboration? However, in this period of time, Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company's name was very well known. They also shone in the auctions in Yanjing. If this customer came from Yanjing, then it was possible. In the VIP client room next to the general manager's office, the secretary lowered his voice. Director Lai, this client looks very young. Age isn't a symbol of strength. I'll take a look first. Fatty Lai thought to himself. Wasn't Lin Yi young as well? But his strength was quite formidable. Fatty Lai entered the company and all the employees greeted him. Although the company was called Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Company, the employees knew that Fatty Lai was the one in charge of the daily management, so they respected him. Fatty Lai took the elevator up and went straight to the VIP room without stopping. This was the first client he was going to work with, so Fatty Lai had to pay attention to it. The secretary saw Fatty Lai enter the VIP room and quickly stood up to welcome him. Chairman Lai, you're here. This is the client from Yanjing, Mr. Yu, Mr. Rain? Fatty Lai's eyes narrowed. His surname was Yu? Could it be someone from House Yu of Yanjing? House Yu wanted to work with him? Fatty Lai nodded and said to the secretary, Okay, I got it. You can go do what you need to do. Yes, Mr. Lai. The secretary placed the tea in front of Fatty Lai and Mr. Yu and left the meeting room. Chairman Lai, right? The young man with the surname Yu seemed to be arrogant. He didn't stand up but looked at Lai Changyi indifferently. Let me introduce myself. I'm Yu Kuan. This is my name card. Yu Kuan took out his name card and passed it to Fatty Lai. Fatty Lai didn't mind Yu Kuan's arrogance. He was a businessman, so he didn't show his emotions on his face. He still smiled as he took Yu Kuan's name card. He looked at the content. House Yu Business, General Manager Assistant Yu Kuan. House Yu Business? Fatty Lai didn't doubt it anymore. This Yu Kuan really came from House Yu. As such, it was normal for him to be a little arrogant. People from House U, the head of the 4 big houses and 5 small houses. People who came from there would definitely have a sense of superiority in their hearts. Hello, Assistant Yukuan. Fatty Lai smiled and shook Yukuan's hand. He was laughing coldly in his heart. You don't have to act all high and mighty in front of me. Sooner or later, your House U will come and carry my shoes for my boss. When that time comes, you'll have to get permission from me as your follower. I don't believe that no matter how powerful your House U is, you're all immortal monsters and won't die of old age. As long as you're sick and others can't cure you, you'll have to beg me if you want to live. Yukuan still didn't stand up. He just sat there and reached out his hand to shake Fatty Lai's hand. We don't need to say anything unnecessary. Let's get to the point. Mr. Yu, please go ahead. Fatty Lai nodded and sat opposite Yukuan. He looked like he was all ears. Miracle Dr. Guan's medicine company's pill of life extension and toxin cleansing and injury medicine were very popular in our House U's auction. I heard that your new product is going to be released soon? It's called Miracle Dr. Guan's injury medicine? Yukuan asked indifferently. That's right. It's in the final stage of preparation. It'll probably be released soon. Fatty Lai didn't hide anything. He had already said this during the press conference. There was no need to keep it a secret. Yes. Although your pill of life extension and toxin cleansing and injury medicine are quite popular, the future of this injury medicine is still unknown. Am I right? Yukuan looked at Fatty Lai and said in a condescending tone. Of course. It's hard to say what the future of something that hasn't been released yet. Fatty Lai was still smiling. However, he was very dissatisfied with this Yukuan. Who the hell do you think you are? You dare to question the future of boss's injury medicine? You idiot. If you weren't from House U, I would have kicked you out of this meeting room. It seems like Mr. Lai is a smart man. This time, I'm representing House U to give your Miracle Dr. Guan's medicine company a benefit. Yukuan looked at Fatty Lai indifferently. However, before that, Mr. Lai must answer a few of my questions truthfully. What questions? Fatty Lai was getting more and more annoyed. Was this Yukuan retarded? Giving him a benefit? With his attitude, what benefit could he get? Why did House U send an idiot over? Chapter 753. For the map. Besides, if Yukuan's negotiation partner wasn't Fatty Lai, but someone like House Kong who was eager to become a noble house, then no matter what Yukuan's attitude was, the other party would be grateful to him. This was House U's prestige and it was also the pride of House U. So, from House U's point of view, Yukuan's attitude wasn't inappropriate at all. House U talking to someone else was a form of charity, a form of grace. But this time they were looking for the wrong person. In Fatty Lai's heart, Lin Yi was the supreme being. House U was nothing in front of Lin Yi. House U was powerful. Then why did you buy our pill of life extension and toxin cleansing? The question is simple. Mr. Lai once bought a broken piece of the map in our House U's auction. May I know why Mr. Lai bought this piece of the map? Yukuan went straight to the point. He didn't think that Fatty Lai would hide anything in front of House U. If he was able to participate in House U's auction, then he must know House U's background. Who would dare go against House U? Map? What map? Fatty Lai was startled. Since when did he buy a map? Yukuan looked at Fatty Lai's expression and froze as well. He was a practitioner of martial arts and was good at reading people's expressions. From Fatty Lai's shocked expression, it seemed like Fatty Lai didn't know much about the map. However, Fatty Lai suddenly remembered that he did help Lin Yi bid for a fragment of the map. Could it be that House U's people were here for the map? What cooperation? Benefits? Were they all excuses? Fatty Lai thought that it was possible. It was obvious that Yukuan came with a purpose, and that purpose was the map fragment. What kind of secret was hidden in the map? Mr. Lai, are you forgetful? Yukuan looked at Fatty Lai mockingly. You bought a map from the auction. How could you not remember? I remember. Fatty Lai knew he couldn't hide it anymore, so he admitted it. But I bought it out of curiosity, so I didn't think of it when you asked. Indeed, there is such a sheepskin map. Since Mr. Lai remembered, that's great. What are you going to do with this map? Can you tell me? In other words, do you have a similar map fragment in your hands? Yukuan was 80% sure that Fatty Lai didn't know what the map was for. Otherwise, Fatty Lai wouldn't have that shocked expression on his face when Lin Yi asked him about it. I'm just curious, it's no big deal. I've never seen anything like it. Fatty Lai shook his head. Really? Obviously, Yukuan didn't trust Fatty Lai's words. Fatty Lai might not know the secret of the map, but if he hadn't seen the map before, why would he buy something useless? Of course, Fatty Lai smiled. Alright, if that's the case, give me the map and I'll still give you something good. Yu Kun decided to change his strategy. He wanted Fatty Lai to give him the map. If it was useful to him, he wouldn't give it to him. If it was useless, he would give it to him. Oh, you want to give me something good? Can you tell me about it first, Mr. Yu? Fatty Lai didn't agree to Yu Kun's request directly. It's fine if I tell you. As long as you give me the map, House Yu will be the sole distributor of Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company, Yu Kun said faintly. All you have to do is sit back and count your money. Fatty Lai looked at Yu Kun in disbelief. You call this a benefit? You sure have a big appetite. You want to be the sole distributor of my company's products? Are you an idiot or am I an idiot? The popularity of Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company's products was foreseeable. Fatty Lai knew how powerful Lin Yi was and how effective the products were. It could be said that whoever was the distributor would make the most money. Fatty Lai, on the other hand, didn't want to give up the dealership. He had a trading company that had merged with Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company to become a marketing department. He could do his own channels, so why would he give the profits to others? Of course, if it was a small company that wasn't famous, if they could establish a relationship with House Yu's trading company and let them be the sole distributor, they wouldn't have to worry about the sales. House Yu had a wide network. No matter where it was, they would give them face. So, under normal circumstances, if House Yu were to be the sole distributor of a new product, the company would save a lot of effort. Not only would they save on the distribution fees and advertising fees, they wouldn't have to worry about the sales of the product. Because everything would be decided by House Yu. However, to Fatty Lai this was like asking for a lion's share. How was this a benefit? It was obvious that Fatty Lai wanted benefits from him. How is it? Aren't the conditions good? Yu Kun saw Fatty Lai's surprised expression and thought that he was shocked by the generous conditions. He couldn't help but feel proud. If it's a distribution cooperation, then I can't make the decision. Our Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company has a sales department and we have our own distribution channels. Fatty Lai smiled apologetically, but if House Yu's trading company wants to order some injury medicine in bulk, we can give you a good price. What do you mean? Yu Kun's face darkened immediately. He didn't expect Fatty Lai to reject him. House Yu offered to be the agent of Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company and was rejected? Yu Kun felt like he had lost face. Not only did he lose face, but House Yu also lost face. How could Fatty Lai refuse to do something that others could only dream of? Didn't he know how wide House Yu's distribution channels were? A new product that hadn't even entered the market, and he wanted to create his own distribution channels? The market was now under the control of Dr. Kang's golden creation. How could a new brand like you want to create your own? You did have some reputation in the upper class, but you want the people to recognize you without House Yu's distribution channels? Dream on. Mr. Yu, the company doesn't belong to me alone. I'm just a manager. Within my authority, I can only discuss the supply and sales of the product. As for the distribution rights, I don't have that power because the company's original intention was to be the agent. Fatty Lai shrugged. Chapter 754. Was this considered a benefit? House Yu had high hopes for the products from Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company. After all, the effects had been tested. As long as it was a special edition injury medicine, it would be very useful. So House Yu smelled a business opportunity and wanted to get the distribution rights before Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company became famous. Then they wouldn't have to worry about the future. Money would come rolling in. From House Yu's perspective, although Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company had good products, it was still a small company. They would definitely feel uneasy when the new products hit the market. If a giant like House Yu cooperated with them, they would be overjoyed. They would even give up a lot of benefits. House Yu's plan was good. That was why Yu Kun was so arrogant. He didn't want to be rejected by Fatty Lai and lose all his face. His arrogant attitude before was like a monkey. Fatty Lai didn't even want to give up the distribution rights. He was just thinking too much. This isn't my personal decision. I've said it before, I'm just a professional manager. Fatty Lai smiled. Mr. Yu, other than that, what other benefits will you give us? Fatty Lai's words sounded like mockery to Yu Kun's ears. Yu Kun's face turned red and he looked at Fatty Lai with hatred. Piece of the map, name a price. I'm sorry, I don't lack money. Besides, I gave the map to someone else. Fatty Lai shook his head. Gave it to someone else? You actually gave it to someone else? Yu Kun was agitated and lost his good attitude. He was one of the most outstanding disciples of the third generation of House Yu. He was the object of admiration everywhere. But here he was being rejected. He had lost his patience and was getting angry. I bought it with my own money. Why can't I give it to someone else? Fatty Lai shrugged. Good, very good. We'll see. Yu Kuan stood up and walked out of the guest room. You will know the price of offending House Yu. Offending House Yu? Fatty Lai looked at Yu Kuan's back and laughed coldly. This was a disciple of House Yu? What the hell? He had been talking to him in a friendly manner. He only rejected his overbearing suggestion and now he offended House Yu? With this kind of upbringing, House Yu wouldn't last more than 3 generations. In the past, Fatty Lai might have been afraid of House Yu, afraid that they would cause trouble for his company in the future, but now that he was with Lin Yi, he felt that Lin Yi was omnipotent. House Yu was nothing compared to Lin Yi. After Yu Kuan left, Fatty Lai called Lin Yi. He had to tell Lin Yi about this. Boss, is it convenient for you to speak now? Fatty Lai asked. Speak. Lin Yi had just arrived at school and there was no class today, so no one noticed that Lin Yi was answering the phone in the classroom. Just now House Yu sent someone over. Fatty Lai said, it's a young man called Yu Kuan. He looks like he's in his 20s. House Yu? Yu Kuan? What are they here for? Hearing the 2 words House Yu, Lin Yi took a deep breath. They're here to ask about the fragment of the map that you bought at House Yu's auction. Fatty Lai said, they asked me if I know what it's used for and if I've seen similar fragments. Oh? Could it be that they purposely took out the fragment of the map from the auction? Lin Yi suddenly thought of the young man who followed him that night. His martial arts weren't weak. At first he thought that he was sent by House Kong, but now that he thought about it, House Kong didn't have any masters. To be able to order a golden class master around, who else other than the aristocratic families could do it? Could it be that he was also from House Yu? Did he follow them for the fragment of the map as well? That's possible. Fatty Lai nodded, otherwise he wouldn't have tried to buy the fragment of the map from me. If they wanted it, they could have gotten it at the auction. They wouldn't have to go through so much trouble. Ah. Lin Yi smiled faintly. The fragment of the map seemed to be a treasure. Lin Yi put it in his drawer because he didn't know what it was used for, so he didn't take it out to study it. Now House Yu was treating it as a treasure? Could it be that they knew the secret of the map? Also, the funny thing is that this Yu Kuan kept saying that he wanted to give us a benefit. The benefit he was talking about was the distribution rights of our company's products. That's ridiculous. You call that a benefit? He just wants a benefit, right? Fatty Lai said sarcastically. If it was some other small company they might treat it as a benefit. Lin Yi smiled faintly and reminded, House Yu has a lot of masters. Take care of your own safety. Don't fight them head on. Of course I know. I've always been humble. It's just that Yu Kuan is too arrogant. Fatty Lai shook his head. Did he leave just like that? He didn't say anything else? Lin Yi didn't believe that House Yu would give up just like that. If they really came for the map they would definitely do something. He said that I'll wait and see. He wants me to know the price of offending House Yu. Fatty Lai said. I got it. Lin Yi's lips curved slightly. House Yu, it doesn't matter if you're a hidden house or a huge force. You better not mess with me. Otherwise no one will look good in the end. Lin Yi hung up the phone. He didn't mind. Since House Yu wouldn't give up, he would just have to wait for them to come to him. After hanging up, Lin Yi looked at the message on his phone. There was a message when he picked up the phone. My daddy wants to treat you to dinner tonight. The message was from Mississippi. Chu Pingzhan wanted to treat him to dinner? Lin Yi thought that it was probably because he saved Meng Yao yesterday. Since Chu Pingzhan wanted to treat him, Lin Yi naturally wouldn't reject it. He replied, okay, I got it. The young mistress received the message. She lowered her head and glanced at it, but she didn't reply. Lin Yi felt that after what happened yesterday, Mrs.'s attitude towards him seemed to have changed. She wasn't like before, always looking for trouble with him. Their relationship seemed to have calmed down a little. But it seemed to be a little distant? Because the first Mrs.'s attitude towards him seemed to be unapproachable, as if she was treating a stranger? Chapter 755. The miss with insomnia. Without a doubt, with Lin Yi joining the villa, Meng Yao was confused at first, but after Meng Yao completely accepted Lin Yi's existence, Meng Yao didn't want Lin Yi to leave. Lin Yi took care of her meticulously, even better than her father and Faubert. He allowed the miss, who lacked a mother's love since young, to find her own happiness. She even wanted to let Lin Yi stay in the villa for the rest of his life, taking care of her and Shu. But Meng Yao knew that it was impossible. There was still Tang Yun in the middle, and this was the reason why the miss hated Tang Yun so much. She didn't think that she hated Tang Yun because she liked Lin Yi, but because Tang Yun took away the happiness that was supposed to belong to her. If Lin Yi left, who would care for her? Meng Yao didn't want Lin Yi to leave. It wasn't until yesterday when Lin Yi looked at her body that Meng Yao had some strange thoughts in her mind. If Lin Yi was her boyfriend, then wouldn't he have left? Even Meng Yao herself was shocked by the thought. She liked Linny? Was it true? Impossible. It must be because Shu was messing around all day calling her first wife and second wife, that she was going crazy. But Meng Yao really wanted Linny to stay. She didn't know what to do. Who could she talk to? With Yushu? That girl's mouth wasn't tight, and she had a wild imagination. She might not even be able to express herself clearly, and it would become that she was chasing after Linny? Meng Yao didn't dare to tell her. Her father just called, saying that they were going out for dinner to thank Linny, so Meng Yao sent Linny a text. Seeing that Linny agreed, Meng Yao calmed down. Yao Yao sis? What's wrong? Why do you look like you're in a trance? Yushu observed Meng Yao for a long time. Trance? No way, right? I didn't sleep well last night? Meng Yao shook her head. Oh, then why didn't you sleep well? Yushu asked. It's because I've just recovered from a serious illness. Meng Yao naturally wouldn't reveal her true thoughts. Oh, I thought you were thinking of Shield Bro, Yushu said, staring at Meng Yao. What do I want him to do? You think I'm like you? Meng Yao frowned, turning her head away from Yushu. Yao Yao sis, I feel like something's wrong with you, Yushu said seriously. What's wrong now? Meng Yao felt that Yushu was really annoying. She just liked to find out this and that whenever she had nothing better to do. It's hard to say. I'll tell you after I observe. Yushu said after some thought. Meng Yao didn't know what to say. Keep observing then, I'll go read. With that, Meng Yao picked up a revision book and started reading. Yushu stared at Meng Yao for a while but didn't find anything wrong with her. She went back to her book as well. After school, Lin Yi drove Tang Yun back to the hospital before heading to Pengzhan Business Hotel. Pengzhan was treating, naturally this was his first choice. Pengzhan Business Hotel seemed to be unusually crowded today. The outdoor parking lot in front of the entrance was already full. Lin Yi had no choice but to drive to the underground parking lot. The underground parking lot was a membership system. Only guests with Pengzhan Business Hotel's membership card could park there. When the manager of the parking lot saw Lin Yi driving a broken van with a diamond card, he was shocked. Was this the dirty hobby of rich people? Lin Yi didn't care about the expression on the manager's face. In fact, Lin Yi didn't have to drive this broken van to show off. It was just that there was a car that Lin Yi couldn't be bothered to change. If this car broke down or got lost, Lin Yi would just change to another one. The elevator in the parking lot went straight to the private room upstairs. It was the same room that Pengzhan treated him to last time. Lin Yi knocked on the door. Soon, Faubert opened the door and saw Lin Yi. Mr. Lin, you're here. Faubert's attitude towards Lin Yi changed from normal to sincere respect. This was because of his understanding of Lin Yi's strength. Lin Yi fought Uncle Zhu to a draw and Uncle Zhu was lying on the bed right now. Lin Yi, on the other hand, acted as if nothing had happened. People with strength would always be respected by others. Faubert was a golden-class physical practitioner. He was naturally respectful towards a mystic-class spiritual practitioner like Lin Yi. This had nothing to do with Pengzhan. It was just his personal respect towards Lin Yi. Faubert, am I late? Sorry to keep everyone waiting. Lin Yi smiled as he walked into the room. Oh, Shield Bro is here. Can I start eating now? Yushu obviously couldn't wait any longer. She looked at the dishes on the table with saliva dripping from her mouth. Shu. Meng Yao glared at Yushu. Don't be rude. Why do you look like a starving ghost? Be careful that you won't be able to find a husband in the future. Oh, I can if you can find one. Yushu didn't care at all. Meng Yao was speechless. Lin Yi, come sit. Pengzhan stood up from his seat and walked towards Lin Yi. Pengzhan was very confident in Lin Yi's ability. His daughter was safe this time, and the school's problem was solved perfectly. Lin Yi was the main reason. Uncle Chu, you're welcome. Lin Yi quickly made a gesture of invitation. Uncle Chu, please sit. Pengzhan was Lin Yi's elder. Lin Yi naturally wouldn't be rude. Meng Yao saw that her dad stood up, and it wasn't nice for her to sit either. She held Shu's hand and stood up. Lin Yi, thank you for yesterday. Oh, Yao Yao sis, you're welcome. We're family, right? You're Shield Bro's first wife. Of course Shield Bro has to save you, or he won't have a wife anymore. Yushu mumbled with a bun stuffed in her mouth. Shu, what nonsense are you talking about? Meng Yao was pissed. A bun can't stop your mouth? Come, have another one. Meng Yao picked up a bun and forced it into Yushu's mouth. Wah wah. Yushu couldn't say anything. Her eyes rolled back. Pengzhan looked at his daughter and Shu and found it funny. He couldn't help but laugh. Lin Yi was used to it. He shrugged. Don't stuff her to death. Meng Yao blushed at Lin Yi's words. She remembered what happened last time and felt sorry for Shu. She pulled the bun out of her mouth and put it on the plate. Peng Zhan smiled and invited Lin Yi to sit. Lin Yi sat on Ming Yao's left, and Yushu sat on Ming Yao's right. Chapter 756. Chapter 756, Friends, today's meal is to thank you for saving my daughter, as well as saving the school and company's reputation. Peng Zhan raised his glass. We're having a family banquet, so we won't be drinking. I heard you drove here as well, so let's have juice instead. All right. Lin Yi nodded, pouring some juice into the glass in front of him as well. Peng Zhan had a lot of social engagements, and he had no choice but to drink during those times. Peng Zhan Industries was a big company, but there were rules when it came to business. No matter how big the deal was, they had to celebrate it. It was inevitable that they would drink. So there was no need to drink during a family banquet. Saving Yao Yao is something I should do no matter what. I see her as a friend. How could I not save her? Lin Yi smiled. As for the others, it's just a matter of convenience. Besides, I have the responsibility to save the company's reputation. Meng Yao paused. Did Lin Yi think of her as a friend? Wasn't she the employer? Meng Yao felt a little happy. It seemed that when she accepted Lin Yi treated her as a friend as well. Should she rein in her mistemper from now on? Contact Lin Yi as a friend? Wouldn't that be awkward? Meng Yao's face heated up at the thought of what happened in the hospital yesterday. She'd be able to face Lin Yi if she had the identity of an employer, but how was she supposed to face him without the identity of an employer? If that's the case, then I won't say anything more. Peng Zhan smiled. You're right, privately you have a personal relationship with Yao Yao. Publicly you're a shareholder of the company. How could you just stand by and watch? Lin Yi was a shareholder of her daddy's company? Meng Yao's eyes widened in disbelief. Daddy gave the shares to Lin Yi? Was that for real? Meng Yao didn't care much about money, but she didn't believe that her daddy would just give the company shares to an outsider. Could it be that there really was an agreement between daddy and Lin Yi? Otherwise, why would daddy give away the shares? Wouldn't that divide the company's controlling stake? Once Lin Yi's shares were transferred or Lin Yi leaned towards another shareholder, wouldn't his father's position be in danger? Meng Yao didn't think that Lin Yi was an ungrateful person. Peng Zhan saw his daughter's puzzled gaze and smiled at Lin Yi. Yao Yao still doesn't know that you're a shareholder of the company? You didn't tell her? I've never thought of myself as a shareholder, and if I hadn't mentioned it today, I'm afraid I would have forgotten about it. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Lin Yi's words took Peng Zhan by surprise. Lin Yi was probably the only one who'd think like that. Any other person would have been thinking about how they'd be spending their days with all these shares. How would they be willing to take a 30,000 kwai salary and continue being the Miss Follower? Meng Yao, on the other hand, was stunned as well. Lin Yi didn't care about the shares? Yeah, Lin Yi didn't seem to care about the 3 million. It seemed like Lin Yi wasn't someone who cared about money? Yao Yao, Lin Yi is now the second largest shareholder of Peng Zhan Industries, Peng Zhan said to Meng Yao. Second largest shareholder? Meng Yao was even more puzzled. It was true that her father was the largest shareholder, but if her father's shares were divided into two, he wouldn't even be the third largest shareholder, let alone the second. And her father couldn't have transferred most of the shares to Lin Yi and kept a small portion for himself, right? Yes, Ye Guanghua has already transferred all the shares under his name to Lin Yi, Peng Zhan said. Meng Yao understood. So it was another shareholder who had transferred his shares to Lin Yi? She didn't know what was going on, but it was an indisputable fact that Lin Yi had a net worth of 10 million yuan. With a net worth like that, why was he still staying in the villa? In an instant, Meng Yao felt a little happy. Did he think of her as a friend? Was that why he continued to stay in the villa? In fact, Meng Yao didn't know that Lin Yi's mission had nothing to do with money. The reason why Lin Yi accepted this mission was because his old man had promised him that he could retire after completing it. Lin Yi was getting tired of his wandering life and wanted to settle down. Alright, let's not talk about this. Lin Yi, hurry up and eat, we're all hungry. There are no rules in a family banquet, just eat your fill. Peng Zhan said as he picked up a piece of meat and put it into his mouth, chewing it in big mouthfuls. Lin Yi was hungry as well. He was about to eat when he saw a butter bun on his plate with a row of teeth marks and a small amount of saliva on it. This was the bun that Yushu was chewing on? Did the miss throw it into his plate after pulling it out? Lin Yi naturally wouldn't mind Yushu. He'd already performed CPR on her, so it wasn't a big deal. Besides, Yushu was very cute and Lin Yi had a good impression of her. So Lin Yi didn't hesitate and put the bun in his mouth. That's. Meng Yao had been watching Lin Yi from the corner of her eyes. She wanted to warn him when she saw him put the bun in his mouth, but it was too late. Meng Yao saw that Lin Yi had already eaten it, and there was no point in saying anything now. She shook her head. Lin Yi ate Shu's saliva? Did that count as an indirect kiss? Indirect? Didn't these two kiss already? They already did CPR, what's another indirect kiss? The she really didn't pay attention. Chem? Meng Yao suddenly thought of a problem. Shu's attitude towards Lin Yi seemed to be different. Since young, Shu always played pranks on other boys. Only boys who liked Yushu would understand how tragic life was. They were either played to death or beaten to death by Chen Yutian. But Shu didn't seem to play pranks on Lin Yi. Did she get along well with him? Meng Yao had to admit that these two were quite compatible when they teamed up to play pranks on others. They were the best partners. Shu couldn't have fallen for Lin Yi, could she? Meng Yao felt that it was highly possible. Shu's attitude towards Lin Yi was obviously different from other boys. She didn't think so much before, but now that she thought about it, she could see the problem. Chapter 757. The villa screams. Meng Yao was distracted during meal. She didn't even hear Pengzhan calling her. Ah. Meng Yao looked at her dad, stunned. Daddy, you're calling me? Ah, Yao Yao, what's on your mind? I want you to give you a toast. If it wasn't for him yesterday, I wouldn't even be able to see you. Pengzhan said with a smile. Okay. Meng Yao raised her glass subconsciously, only to realize that the juice was empty. Yushu quickly filled her glass with juice, and Meng Yao raised her glass again. She looked at Lin Yi, remembering what happened yesterday, and couldn't help but feel a little shy. She lowered her eyes and said, "Thank you. You've said that many times already." Lin Yi was amazed. It was rare to see the shy side of the miss. She was quite pretty. If she wasn't his employer, perhaps he would have gone after her? Yeah. Meng Yao humphed lightly, finishing the juice in her glass. I drank it all. Lin Yi finished his as well. He could tell that the miss wasn't used to social gatherings like this. Pengzhan probably didn't bring her to these banquets often, which was probably why she wasn't affected by those bad habits. The miss was a simple and honest person. She gave people the feeling that she was unapproachable, but she would care about you after getting to know you. She wouldn't say it out loud, but Lin Yi could feel it. Pengzhan didn't purposely raise Meng Yao into a strong businesswoman, and this made Lin Yi wonder. Was Pengzhan not planning for Meng Yao to take over his position in the future? Or was Pengzhan using the more popular method abroad, letting Meng Yao hold the company's shares, but not participate in the company's operations? Leaving all the operations to a professional manager? Of course, this wasn't something Lin Yi had to worry about. As for Lin Yi's shares in Pengzhan Industries, Lin Yi didn't really care. If Lin Yi didn't even care about the medical company's operations, then what about Pengzhan Industries? It had been a while since Pengzhan had a meal with Meng Yao, Yushu, and Lin Yi, especially now that his daughter and company's problems were all solved. Pengzhan's face was glowing with happiness. Pengzhan still had things to do after the meal, so he got out of the car at the company's entrance. The poison incident hadn't subsided yet, so he had to go to the company personally and cooperate with the police to collect evidence. Just like when they came, Lin Yi was driving his old van, while Li Fu was driving the Bentley with Meng Yao and Yushu. The two cars went back to the villa, one in front of the other. He didn't want to bother Li Fu at first, wanting to let the miss and Yushu take his car back, but the miss refused him. Didn't I tell you to drive the S5? Lin Yi smiled bitterly. He was even considering if he didn't need to buy a new car now that his car was broken. When the two cars stopped in front of the villa's courtyard, a dog's bark came from inside. It was General Weiwu. Lin Yi tensed up subconsciously. He touched the jade on his chest and the jade sent out a signal. Lin Yi instantly went into a state of alertness. General Weiwu wouldn't bark for no reason, especially when Meng Yao and Lin Yi were coming back. It might have reacted if it was a stranger, but it was familiar with them. General Weiwu was very familiar with Lin Yi, Meng Yao, Yushu, and even Faubert. General Weiwu's abnormal barking must be a sign that something was amiss. The jade on Lin Yi's chest in particular had a similar reaction. Meng Yao and Yushu got off the car and were shocked when they heard General Weiwu's barking. Don't go in yet, it's dangerous. Lin Yi said with a shake of his head. Faubert, on the other hand, jumped off the car. Faubert was also a golden class master and he could feel that something was wrong. But before Meng Yao could ask anything, another scream came from inside the villa. It was General Weiwu's voice and then there was silence. General Weiwu. Meng Yao was shocked. Her heart tightened and she didn't care much. She opened the door and wanted to rush in. General Weiwu could be said to have grown up with Meng Yao, accompanying her from her childhood to her teenage years. They had a deep relationship. It could be said that before Lin Yi came to the villa, General Weiwu was Meng Yao's only friend other than Yushu. So General Weiwu's sudden scream made Meng Yao very worried. The only thought in her mind was to rush in and see what was wrong with General Weiwu. General Wei Wu's scream changed Lin Yi's plan. Lin Yi wanted to sneak into the villa to check it out, but the situation had changed. Meng Yao rushed in and Yushu naturally followed. Although her relationship with General Wei Wu wasn't as deep as Meng Yao's, it wasn't shallow either. Plus, General Wei Wu had saved 2 people's lives. If it wasn't for General Wei Wu, Lin Yi wouldn't have been able to find Meng Yao and Yushu so quickly at Mount Shuangyan. The 2 entered the villa, and Lin Yi and Faubert didn't dare to delay and followed them in. Meng Yao turned on the chandelier in the living room, and General Wei Wu was curled up on the floor. There was blood at the corner of his mouth and he didn't know if he was dead or alive. Not far from General Wei Wu was a man in black. After Yu Kuan left Lai Changyi's company, he sneaked into Lai Changyi's villa. He didn't believe Lai Changyi's words, and he wanted to go to his place to search for the map. However, Yu Kuan didn't find anything at Fatty Lai's place. He was very confident in his searching ability. After his search, he even found the key to the safe that Fatty Lai hid under the floor, but there was still no sign of the map. Yu Kuan was absolutely sure that the map wasn't in Lai Changyi's house. However, Yu Kuan wasn't discouraged. According to his previous investigation, there were 2 people with Lai Changyi at the auction. One was Lin Yi and the other was Guan Shuamin. Lin Yi was the young man he met at the pharmacy. He didn't know why, but Yu Kuan felt that Lin Yi was more problematic than Fatty Lai and Guan Shuamin. It was because of Lin Yi that his plan to follow Lai Changyi was exposed. Chapter 758. Chapter 0758. Uninvited guest in the villa. Meng Yao's personal follower? Usually staying in Meng Yao's villa? A student from Songshan's first school? This result was out of Yu Kuan's expectation. He thought that Lin Yi was someone who had a close relationship with Guan Shuamin or Lai Changyi, but he didn't expect that to be the case. Instead, he was hired by Pengzhan Industries' Miss Meng Yao. But the more it was like this, the more suspicious Yu Kuan felt. Why would a Miss personal follower come to Yanjing City to attend House Yu's auction? It was possible for Pengzhan to attend the auction as a business tycoon, but who was Lin Yi? What was his relationship with Guan Shuamin and Lai Changyi? Why would people like Guan Shuamin and Lai Changyi be friends with a Miss personal follower? This didn't make sense at all. So, after leaving Fatty Lai's villa, Yu Kuan locked onto Lin Yi. He felt that Lin Yi was more suspicious than Guan Shuamin. If the map wasn't in Fatty Lai's hands, then it was most likely in Lin Yi's hands. So, Yu Kuan's second stop was Meng Yao's villa. Luckily, there was no one in the villa other than a dog. However, the dog was very obedient. After seeing Yu Kuan, it obediently curled up into a ball and ignored Yu Kuan. Since the dog didn't bother him, Yu Kuan was too lazy to deal with a dog. He started his search. Luckily, when he started searching the rooms on the first floor, he found a room similar to the one Lin Yi lived in. There were a lot of men's clothes in the room, and according to his investigation, there was no one else in Meng Yao's villa other than Lin Yi. He stopped in the room and started searching. Lin Yi only placed the map in the drawer, so Yu Kuan didn't have to spend much effort to find the map in the Wanyankan box in the drawer. This box was bought by Fatty Lai from the Kong family during the auction. Yu Kuan didn't know what it was used for, but since he saw that Lin Yi was placed together with the map, Yu Kuan took it with him. This was truly a case of walking all over the place in search of iron shoes, only to find it by chance. Yu Kuan didn't expect his mission to be so successful. Not only did he get the map back, but he also got another piece of the map in an unknown box. From the way Lin Yi placed it, it was obvious that Lin Yi didn't know what the use of the box and the map was. Otherwise he wouldn't just casually place it in the drawer. At the very least he would hide it in a secret place. So it could be deduced that the reason why Lin Yi bought the map was because he also had a similar map. He wanted to put the 2 pieces together and study them. But what secret could he find from these 2 pieces? Yu Kuan curled his lips. This Lin Yi was really an idiot. Didn't he understand that House Yu purposely took out the map in the auction to lure the snake out of its hole? House Yu already had 3 pieces of the map in their hands and this was one of them. If House Yu wanted to collect more, they could only use this method to lure the snake out of its hole, luring those who had the map or knew the secret of the map to attack them. Then House Yu would find them and snatch the map from them as well. Although the method was a bit despicable, House Yu's people were very skilled. Even if someone suspected them, they wouldn't be able to find any evidence. Just like this time, Yu Kuan didn't expect it to be so smooth. However, just as the map and the Wanyankan box were in his hands, the broken dog in the living room started barking crazily. This scared Yu Kuan. Was there something wrong with the dog? It didn't bark before, but it only barked after he got the map in the Wanyankan box? Could it be that the dog barked because he took something from the mansion? Was it because of this reason that it didn't bark before? Yu Kuan was annoyed and didn't think too much about it. Naturally, he ignored the sound of cars outside the mansion. In fact, there were always cars passing by outside the mansion. The rich people living here would usually return home at this time. So, Yukun didn't think that it was the people from the mansion. He thought that the dog barked because he took something. He couldn't be blamed for thinking that way. It was too much of a coincidence. Who asked Lin Yi and the others to come back when he just picked up the map in the Wanyankan box? General Wei Wu didn't make a sound when Yukun came to the mansion because of an instinctive fear. The dangerous aura that Yukun had on him scared General Wei Wu. It was similar to the pressure that Lin Yi gave General Wei Wu. So, General Wei Wu had an instinctive fear towards Yukun. It was afraid that Yukun would hurt it, so it curled up into a ball and ignored Yukun. However, General Wei Wu could tell that Yukun didn't come with good intentions. So, when Mingyao's car returned to the mansion, General Wei Wu was afraid that Mingyao would enter the mansion recklessly and get hurt by Yukun. In order to prevent Mingyao from getting hurt, General Wei Wu barked. It was warning Mingyao that there was danger inside the mansion. It told Mingyao not to enter. Mingyao treated General Wei Wu well, and General Wei Wu was grateful. It was understandable, but Yukun misunderstood General Wei Wu's intention. He thought that General Wei Wu didn't want him to take something. So Yukun felt disgusted. You're just a dog. I've already spared your life when I came here. You're fine and you're just staying there. How dare you bark? You really don't know what's good for you. How powerful was Yukun? He was a late-phase golden class master. He kicked General Wei Wu's body, and General Wei Wu's internal organs were injured. He spat out blood and fell to the ground. It was obvious that he wouldn't be able to live. Mingyao entered the mansion and saw General Wei Wu dead on the floor. There was a man in black beside General Wei Wu. She was shocked. She roughly understood why General Wei Wu suddenly barked. Mingyao and General Wei Wu grew up together. She knew General Wei Wu's personality. This dog bullied the weak and was afraid of the strong. It became soft the moment it saw Lin Yi. Although Mingyao didn't say anything, she knew it clearly. Luckily, Lin Yi was here to protect her. She wasn't worried that General Wei Wu wouldn't care about him. Chapter 759. Show mercy. However, the reason why General Wei Wu screamed the moment he got off the car was obviously General Wei Wu's warning to him. It didn't want Mingyao to enter the villa because it was dangerous. Mingyao was touched and sad at the same time. General Wei Wu had accompanied her for many lonely days and now he was lying on the floor. It seemed like he wouldn't be able to survive. At this moment, Mingyao's heart was broken. Tears flowed down her face as she jumped onto the floor and hugged General Wei Wu. General Wei Wu, what's wrong? Don't die. She didn't know what to do as she felt like she had lost a family member. At this moment she felt so helpless. She could only watch as General Wei Wu was beaten to death, but there was nothing she could do. Who are you? Faubert knew the relationship between the Miss and General Wei Wu. He was furious as he looked at Yukun coldly. You're Li Fu, right? I've heard of you. Yukun knew that he was discovered and he wasn't in a hurry to escape. It wasn't easy to escape from Faubert, who was also a late-phase golden class master. Faubert was slightly stronger than him as well. He had reached the peak of the late-phase golden class. However, he was a spiritual master and Faubert was a physical master. Hence, although Faubert was stronger, their actual strength was about the same. If they were to fight head-on, it was still unknown who would emerge victorious. Yukun wouldn't take the risk as both sides would be injured. Before he came to the villa, he had done a simple investigation on the people around Lin Yi. With House Yu's information network, it was impossible for a master like Faubert not to be noticed by House Yu. House Yu basically had a record of all the masters in the civilian house. Faubert was one of them. Who are you? What are you doing here? Why did you kill Miss Chu's dog? Faubert saw that Mingyao was sad and wanted to kill him. House Yu Yukun. Yukun didn't hesitate to tell Fatty Lai his name because even if he didn't, Li Fu could still find out his identity from Fatty Lai later. Besides, if he didn't reveal his identity as a member of House Yu, Yukun knew that Faubert wouldn't let him go easily. Yukun didn't want to fight because he knew that he couldn't defeat Faubert, and Faubert wouldn't be able to keep him here. If the two of them fought recklessly, both of them would be heavily injured. House Yu. Yukun? Faubert froze. He didn't expect the person in front of him to be from House Yu. Faubert naturally knew about House Yu's situation. His face couldn't help but turn ugly. House Yu was a giant, not to mention Faubert, even Pingzhan couldn't afford to offend them. Li Fu, you're a physical master at the peak of the late phase of golden class, right? Yukun looked at Faubert and said calmly, I'm at the late phase of the golden class. You can't keep me here. You want to leave just like that? Faubert was in a dilemma. If Yukun's strength was as he said, then Falbert really couldn't do anything to him. A spiritual master was always stronger than a physical master. Both of their strengths could be said to be on par. On the other hand, Falbert was afraid of his identity as a member of House Yu, so he didn't dare to act rashly. Or what? Yukuan saw that Falbert was afraid of him and said arrogantly. Mengyao was grieving. General Weiwu, who was in her arms, seemed to move. Mengyao was surprised and opened her eyes wide, but General Weiwu didn't move anymore. General Weiwu, don't die, please don't die. Mengyao never thought that General Weiwu would leave her one day. She used to dream that when she had her own children she wanted General Weiwu to play with them, just like how she played with General Weiwu in the past. Yao Yao sis, don't be sad. Maybe Shield Bro has a way? Yushu saw that General Weiwu was exhaling more than he was inhaling. She knew that General Weiwu couldn't be saved, but seeing Mingyao's sadness she quickly comforted her. Yushu didn't feel good either. Although her relationship with General Weiwu wasn't as deep as Mingyao's, they often played together. She was used to General Weiwu's existence. When Mingyao heard Lin Yi's name, hatred flashed in her eyes. She raised her head and said to Lin Yi word by word, Lin Yi, kill this murderer for me. Ah, okay. Lin Yi heard the Mrs. words and nodded calmly. He had already recognized the young man in black in front of him. It was the young man he met in front of the pharmacy in Yanjing City on the night of the auction. When he heard his name he couldn't help but understand. So he was the Yu Kuan who looked for Fatty Lai before. He didn't even look for him and he actually came looking for him? Lin Yi wasn't a person who liked to cause trouble, but if someone wanted to bully him, he wouldn't let them bully him either. House Yu. Lin Yi took a deep breath. Alright House Yu, since you guys appeared in my life again, don't blame me for being rude. Are you here to steal my map? Lin Yi walked towards Yu Kuan and asked calmly. Steal? This belongs to House Yu, it's useless even if you want it. Yu Kuan was a little afraid of what Falbert said, but he didn't put Lin Yi in his eyes at all. In House Yu's information, it didn't mention that Lin Yi was a master. So he didn't even think that Lin Yi was a master. He was just Mingyao's bodyguard. How strong could he be? At most, he was a retired Special Forces soldier or a Sanda athlete. He couldn't possibly be a master. Pengzhan's Falbert was only at the peak of the late phase of Golden Class. Miss Chu's bodyguard couldn't possibly be stronger than Falbert, could he? What's the use of the map? Lin Yi asked. Do you think I can tell you? Besides, I don't know either. Yu Kuan looked at Lin Yi with disdain. Oh, then you've lost the value of your existence. You can die now. Lin Yi suddenly attacked, releasing his aura in an instant. Lily, have mercy. Falbert was shocked. He didn't think that Lin Yi would kill Yu Kuan with just a few words. He was shocked and quickly stopped him. How could he let someone from House Yu die in the villa? Wouldn't there be no end to the trouble after that? How could Pengzhan handle it? How could he fight against the giant House Yu? Chapter 760. Chapter 760, Sorrowful Young Mistress. But immediately, Yu Kuan felt that something was wrong. How was this the peak of the late phase of the Golden Class? P.F. Yu Kuan spat out a mouthful of blood and flew backwards. He smashed into the television in the living room and smashed it into pieces. Lin Yi instantly retracted half of his strength. He didn't understand why Falbert wanted him to go easy on him, but since it was Falbert's order, Lin Yi would naturally do as he was told. With Falbert's calmness, he naturally had his reasons for doing so. Mystic Class. Yu Kuan looked at Lin Yi in shock. After spitting out a few mouthfuls of blood, he spat out the two words with difficulty. Yu Kuan knew that Lin Yi went easy on him. If it wasn't for Falbert's last sentence, he would have been dead. How ruthless. Yu Kuan was shocked. Where did Lin Yi come from? How did he have the strength of an early-phase Mystic Class? How was this possible? How old was he? He didn't even look as old as Yu Kuan, and he wasn't from any noble house. How could he have such powerful skills? But no matter what, Yu Kuan knew that this wasn't a place for him to stay for long. Lin Yi went easy on him this time, but it was hard to say if he would kill him next. Yu Kuan hesitated for a while and threw away the Wanyankan box and the two pieces of the map. He endured his injuries and ran out of the villa, disappearing into the night. He knew that if he didn't leave the box and the map, Lin Yi might chase after him again. If that happened, he might not even be able to live. Lin Yi looked at Yu Kuan's back and didn't chase after him. Yu Kuan was already a cripple, so why bother? Ever since the incident with Li Dile, Lin Yi had a strong interest in compressing his own energy. His energy could be used by others, but after compressing it, the sudden explosion wasn't something others could withstand. Lin Yi's palm that landed on Yu Kuan's body contained a compressed energy. The moment the energy entered Yu Kuan's body, it exploded like a bomb, destroying Yu Kuan's meridians. Therefore, even if Yu Kuan recovered, he would still be a cripple. He would not be able to practice spiritual techniques anymore. Why not kill him? Lin Yi looked at Faubert in confusion. What Lin Yi didn't expect was that Faubert was actually a physical master at the peak of the late phase of the golden class. He's from House Yu, Faubert sighed. Killing someone from House Yu would be troublesome. Just because he's from House Yu? Lin Yi frowned. You don't know about House Yu? Faubert looked at Lin Yi's nonchalant expression and was slightly taken aback. I know, Lin Yi said indifferently, but this has nothing to do with killing him. You aren't afraid of House Yu? Faubert was surprised. If Lin Yi knew about House Yu, why did he dare to let Yu Kuan stay? Scared? Lin Yi seemed to be asking himself, forget it, it's fine if they ran. The reason why Lin Yi dared to kill Yu Kuan in the villa was because everyone present was trustworthy. Meng Yao and Yushu wouldn't betray him and Faubert wouldn't either. Therefore Lin Yi dared to kill Yu Kuan. Every circle had its own rules. Lin Yi didn't believe that House Yu would call the police if someone died. So Yu Kuan's death wouldn't affect his life. It was just like Zhang Long and Li Yao who were beside Sihua. If they died, then so be it. This was different from Master Bing Jiangwen and Zhong Pingliang. Master Bing could die, but Lin Yi couldn't kill him in front of everyone. If Jiangwen and Zhong Pingliang died, the police would definitely take action. This was why Lin Yi treated different people differently. Faubert heard Lin Yi's words and suddenly remembered Lin Yi's strength. Early phase mystic class. Was Lin Yi really at the early phase mystic class? Then what kind of background did Lin Yi have? As for Lin Yi, why would he appear beside the miss? Where did Mr. Chu invite him to come from? Such a master actually accompanied the miss to school and play with her every day like a follower? Faubert was more and more suspicious of Lin Yi. What kind of person was he? However, since Peng Zhan and Lin Yi didn't say anything, Faubert wouldn't ask. He sighed slightly and walked towards Meng Yao. Meng Yao was angry at the moment, so she asked Lin Yi to kill Yu Kuan. But when Lin Yi really did it, she regretted it. She couldn't let Lin Yi become a murderer because of her. So, although Meng Yao was disappointed that Yu Kuan escaped, she was glad at the same time. If Lin Yi really killed Yu Kuan, how would she clean up the mess? Miss Chu, he's from House Yu, we can't mess with him for now. Faubert asked Lin Yi to let Yu Kuan go. He had to talk to the miss first. Faubert knew Meng Yao's sadness. He knew that she wanted to kill Yu Kuan to avenge General Wei Wu. And Meng Yao's emotions had calmed down. She hugged General Wei Wu and wiped her tears. Miss General Wei Wu. He should be happy to know that you are safe now. Faubert didn't know how to comfort Meng Yao, but a dead dog can't come back to life. And Meng Yao replied blankly. How could she not know that a dead dog couldn't come back to life? Seeing that General Wei Wu wasn't moving anymore, it was obvious that he was dead. But Meng Yao couldn't accept it at that moment. Ah, maybe he's not dead? Let me treat him for you? Lin Yi smiled and walked over. He looked at General Wei Wu in the miss arms and shrugged. Not dead? Meng Yao's eyes lit up when she heard Lin Yi's words. She looked at Lin Yi in disbelief and said emotionally, Lin Yi, you said that he's not dead? You're not lying to me? Have I ever lied to you? Lin Yi took General Wei Wu from the miss arms and accidentally touched Meng Yao's chest. It was very soft. Although it wasn't big, it was very bouncy. It didn't feel too bad? Lin Yi recalled the feeling in that moment. Meng Yao's face reddened. She didn't wear much in the summer, and Meng Yao wouldn't wear something with a lot of sponge in it. She only wore a thin layer of brasiers, so how could she not feel his touch? Umph. Meng Yao glared at Lin Yi. Then hurry up and treat him, or I'll deal with you. You won't deal with me if I treat him? Lin Yi teased. Oh, if you cure it, Yao Yao will let you touch it again? Yushu, who'd seen Lin Yi touching Meng Yao's chest, said. Oh. Meng Yao was angry. What are you talking about? Why don't you let him touch you? Oh, I'll let him if you let me, Yushu said after some thought. Chapter 761. His strength increased again. I can save it, but it's a little troublesome. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. He had used up a lot of energy these few days. Lin Yi, I'm begging you, can you save it? Meng Yao saw Lin Yi's expression and knew that things weren't that simple. In fact, she knew that even if Lin Yi's medical skills were superb, General Wei Wu was already on the verge of death. How could he save it? Lin Yi had used up a lot of energy to save her yesterday. She couldn't bear to ask Lin Yi to save General Wei Wu again. Ha, I said it's a little troublesome, but I didn't say I won't save it. Lin Yi looked at the miss who was staring at him. She was quite cute and his heart skipped a beat. The miss was actually a girl with emotions, but she always wrapped herself up too tightly and didn't reveal her feelings easily. And Meng Yao nodded. Why are you guys so mushy? Yeah, sis, you're going to be Shield Bro's big wife sooner or later. Of course Shield Bro has to save the dog for you. Yushu said. Meng Yao pursed her lips and didn't say anything. She looked at Lin Yi gratefully. Lin Yi carried General Wei Wu back to his room and looked at Faubert. Faubert, please guard my room door. Don't let anyone disturb me. Although Yu Kuan's martial arts were crippled by Lin Yi wasn't sure if it would work. What if someone could repair Yu Kuan's meridians like him? So, Lin Yi was afraid that Yu Kuan would come back with his men, so he asked Faubert to guard the door for him. This way, Faubert, as a master at the peak of the late phase of the golden class, should be able to handle it. As long as he heard the commotion, he would be able to come up with a countermeasure. That's what I should do. What's the trouble? Faubert quickly asked. You helped Miss Chu save the dog. I still have to thank you. Oh, that's what I should do. Lin Yi smiled and returned to his room. General Wei Wu wasn't completely dead, it just fainted. Although many of its internal organs were damaged, Lin Yi was confident that he could save it. It was just a matter of how he would do it. Lin Yi wondered if he could use his own energy to save the dog. Lin Yi's energy was effective on humans, but he didn't know if it was effective on dogs. If the energy was effective, it would be easier to save General Wei Wu, but if it wasn't, Lin Yi could only use acupuncture and herbs to save General Wei Wu. Jiao Lao, is my energy useful to dogs? Lin Yi was afraid that if he injected energy into General Wei Wu and killed him, it wouldn't be fun, so he asked first. I don't know. I've never tried it before. Jiao Yazi's voice rang beside Lin Yi's ear. But your energy is omnipotent. Theoretically, it should be possible, right? Why don't you try? Try? I can't die, right? Lin Yi wasn't at ease with this answer. It's impossible for it to die. At most, it's useless or overused, Jiao Yazi said. Okay, I'll try. Lin Yi had no choice but to try everything he could. Even if the patient died, the miss wouldn't blame him. He'd already tried his best. Lin Yi placed his hand on General Wei Wu's body and activated the art of dragon mastery in his heart. Instantly, he felt a strong suction coming from General Wei Wu's body, sucking the energy in Lin Yi's body. Lin Yi's heart skipped a beat. Seems like it's working? Although the suction force was strong, Lin Yi didn't dare to stop or control it. He didn't know how much energy was needed to save the dog, so he let General Wei Wu absorb it. If it absorbed too much, he could just take a nap and replenish it. Time passed by minutes and seconds. He didn't know how long it had been, but General Wei Wu's absorption speed didn't stop. It seemed like its injuries weren't light, and Lin Yi didn't dare to stop. Although he felt a little dizzy, it was a warning sign that the energy in his body was depleted. But Lin Yi thought that he should endure it in order to not make the miss sad. Thinking about it, the first miss was actually quite nice to him. Other than the initial hostility after the first miss accepted him, she was quite concerned about him. Plus, he touched Mrs. Chest just now. He didn't know when he would be able to touch it again. Lin Yi reminisced. As he thought about it, he fell asleep. Lin Yi used up too much energy, so he went to sleep to replenish his energy. In the space of the jade, Lin Yi saw Jiao Yazi. Jiao Lao, did I come in again? I don't know either. Jiao Yazi shook his head. I'm not sure if your energy can save the dog, but the dog did absorb a lot of it. But the most important thing now is to replenish your energy. If you faint now, what if the enemy comes? Lin Yi was shocked. He didn't dare to ask more. He quickly activated the art of dragon mastery and started absorbing the energy in the space of the jade. The energy in the space of the jade seemed to be endless. Lin Yi absorbed it so many times, but it didn't thin out at all. It was still as dense as before. Lin Yi felt that every pore on his body was open and absorbing the energy. He didn't know how much time had passed, but he suddenly felt the energy in his body fill up like never before. Mystic early phase peak? Lin Yi was shocked. He came back to reality from the space of the jade. Lin Yi realized that he was now at the peak of the early phase of the mystic class. In other words, he was only an arm's length away from the middle phase of the mystic class. What was going on? After losing energy and replenishing it, Lin Yi felt an obvious increase in his strength. Was it the same when he saved Xiao Xiao? Could it be that there was no construction without destruction? He lost a portion of his energy and replenished it so he could break through to his previous strength? Lin Yi didn't know if his guess was correct, but the truth was this amazing. Lin Yi didn't think that it would be a blessing in disguise. His strength increased so much? Woof woof. General Wei Wu barked beside Lin Yi. Lin Yi paused and suddenly remembered about General Wei Wu. He entered the energy replenishment state in a daze and didn't care about what happened to General Wei Wu. When he woke up, he was shocked by his strength and forgot about General Wei Wu's existence. Chapter 762. Golden Division dog. It seemed like General Weiwu was recovering well? Wait a minute. Lin Yi suddenly realized that something was wrong with General Weiwu. It seemed to be much stronger than before. This was... Also, it seemed to be in good spirits? Other than that, there was another important question. What kind of aura was being emitted from General Weiwu's body? What the heck? Lin Yi's eyes widened in shock. Was this General Weiwu still General Weiwu? Why did it seem different? Lin Yi looked at General Weiwu in disbelief. What kind of dog was this? Was this still a normal dog? This was obviously a Golden Division dog. After the shock, Lin Yi reached out to pat General Weiwu's head. General Weiwu obediently rubbed its head against Lin Yi's hand. It seemed to understand humans better than before. Lin Yi tested General Weiwu's strength. It was indeed at the early phase of the Golden Division. There were differences in strength between humans and dogs too? Also, wasn't it too ridiculous that a dog could reach the Golden Division? However, the truth was right in front of him. Lin Yi couldn't believe it. The pure qi in General Weiwu's body was similar to that of a master at the early phase of the Golden Division. Its internal injuries were completely healed and it was even stronger now. Lil Wei, come here. Lin Yi waved at General Weiwu. General Weiwu came over to fawn over him and wagged its tail in front of Lin Yi. It seemed like it knew that its current strength was all thanks to Lin Yi. Next time when I'm not home you can protect Miss and Shu. But you can't fight, understand? Lin Yi was afraid that General Weiwu didn't know how to use its strength and hurt people. With this kind of strength, wouldn't a normal person die instantly? Woof woof. General Weiwu responded and wagged its tail as if it understood Lin Yi's words. Okay, since you're so obedient, I won't take back your power. Lin Yi originally wanted to destroy General Weiwu's power. A dog having the power of a Golden Division was unbelievable no matter how he looked at it. But since General Weiwu could understand him, it might not be a bad thing to keep it. At least it could be a helper. Also, Lin Yi had an immature thought. If his energy could transform a normal dog into a Golden Class Master, then could he turn a normal person into a Golden Class Master? This was something that needed to be researched. If his energy really had such an effect, then wouldn't he be able to mass-produce Golden Class Masters? Lin Yi raised his head and looked in the direction of the curtains, only to find that the sky was already turning bright. Had the night already passed? Lin Yi suddenly remembered that he asked Faubert to guard the door. Did Faubert go back to rest? With that thought, Lin Yi quickly got up and opened the door. The villa's living room was brightly lit. Faubert was guarding not far from Lin Yi's room. Mengyao and Yushu on the other hand were leaning on each other, sitting on the sofa. They weren't asleep, but their faces were filled with anxiety. Pengzhan was here as well. He sat on the sofa opposite Mengyao and Yushu. Evidently, he already knew what happened earlier. At this moment, Pengzhan was frowning as he stared at the Wanyankan box and the two map fragments on the coffee table. The door to Lin Yi's room opened and attracted everyone's attention. They all looked towards Lin Yi's door. Lin Yi pushed the door open and walked out. Behind him was a healthy and energetic General Weiwu. General Weiwu. Mengyao saw that General Weiwu was fine and was overjoyed. She got up and ran over. General Weiwu looked at Lin Yi and only jumped into Mengyao's arms after seeing that he didn't have any expression on his face. Obviously, General Weiwu had already treated Lin Yi as its first owner. Faubert saw General Weiwu running out of the room in good health. He was in disbelief. Did Lin Yi really save General Weiwu? Uncle Fu had taken a look at Weiwu as well. The man was gasping for air and was on the verge of death. How could Lin Yi save him in a situation like this? It was unbelievable. However, something even more unbelievable was yet to come. Faubert suddenly realized that there was another high-class master hiding in the room other than Lin Yi. He had the strength of an early-phase Golden Class. Uncle Fu was startled. Could it be that another enemy had invaded? But there was still a gap between him and the early-phase Golden Class. Why didn't he notice when this person came in? After a moment, Faubert focused his eyes and frowned. His gaze finally landed on General Weiwu. Not long after, a look of disbelief appeared on his face. If it wasn't for Faubert's calmness, he would have screamed out loud. Because this General Weiwu was not a normal General Weiwu. It was obviously a Golden Class General Weiwu. The threatening aura that Faubert felt came from this dog. For a moment, Faubert didn't know what to say. The situation in front of him was beyond his expectations. He had lived for half of his life and he had never seen such a magical thing. A dog turned into a Golden Class dog? Could there be anything more magical than this? General Weiwu happily squirmed in Mingyao's arms. Lin Yi was a little envious. How good would it be if he was that dog? He could even kiss Mingyao's chest? General Wei Wu seemed to feel Lin Yi's unfriendly gaze. He jumped out of Meng Yao's arms and looked at Lin Yi with a wronged expression. Lin Yi looked at General Wei Wu on the ground and shook his head. He was jealous of a dog? Was funny. Lil Yi. Peng Zhan stood up and looked at Lin Yi with a serious expression. Is it House Yu? It should be. But don't worry, Uncle Chu. If someone from House Yu comes for you, let him come for me, Lin Yi said nonchalantly. I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse for you to be merciful. Peng Zhan sighed, but at least you left a way out. I hope that House Yu won't go too far. Lin Yi nodded. Would House Yu send someone stronger? It was possible. Lin Yi looked at the Wanyankan box and the 2 pieces of the map on the coffee table. It seemed like this Yu Kuan from House Yu came for the 2 pieces of the map. As for the Wanyankan box, he just took it away. Otherwise, Yu Kuan wouldn't have mentioned nothing about the Wanyankan box at Fatty Lai's place. Chapter 763. Chapter 0763. Miss Harthouse, you must have a secret that he didn't know about, and Yu Kuan was just a junior of House Yu. He might not know the core secret of the map. So when Lin Yi asked Yu Kuan and got a negative answer, he decided to kill him. Mr. Chu, don't worry. I'm here. No one will hurt Yao Yao and Shu, Lin Yi said. And I'm not worried with you here. Peng Zhan patted Lin Yi's shoulder. Since there's nothing else, I'll go back first. You guys rest early? Uncle Chu, you can go back. There's nothing else here. Lin Yi got up and sent Faubert and Peng Zhan off. In the yard, Faubert opened the door for Peng Zhan and let him in. He looked at Lin Yi and didn't say anything. Ha, Faubert, I didn't know you were a golden class late phase peak master? Lin Yi saw that Faubert wanted to say something, so he started the conversation. Lin Yi had a good impression of Faubert. It wasn't easy to get a golden class late phase peak master to deliver food to the villa every day. How can I compare to you with my strength? Faubert shook his head and smiled bitterly. That dog. I don't know what happened. Energy. Too much pure chi and it became like this. Lin Yi smiled bitterly when he mentioned General Wei Wu. It was normal that Faubert could see through General Wei Wu's strength. After all, General Wei Wu was different from humans. It didn't know how to hide its strength. Anyone who practiced martial arts would be able to see through General Wei Wu's strength. I didn't expect to see a golden class dog. Golden class masters are rare. If people knew that there was a golden class dog in the house, would they be scared to death? Faubert shook his head and said to Lin Yi, I'll leave the Mrs. Safety to you. I'll be leaving now. And Faubert, goodbye. Lin Yi nodded and watched Faubert's car leave. General Wei Wu had returned to normal. Meng Yao and Yushu were very happy. They were playing with General Wei Wu in the living room, and when Lin Yi came in, Meng Yao carried General Wei Wu in front of Lin Yi. Come, General Wei Wu. Let's thank Lin Yi together. Lin Yi smiled. No need to thank me as long as you're not sad. Thanks, Lin Yi. Missy said seriously. You don't know how important General Wei Wu is to me? He's very important to me. It has been with me for so many years since I was young. I know, that's why I saved it. Lin Yi nodded. Meng Yao paused, but it made sense. Lin Yi should be able to tell how sad she was. Lin Yi, you haven't rested yet, have you? It's already past 3 o'clock. Hurry up and take a rest. Okay. You guys sleep early too? Lin Yi was too embarrassed to say that he'd slept with the Miss and Yushu, after all, had been anxiously waiting for him at the door. Lin Yi didn't sleep after returning to his room. He laid on the bed thinking about House Yu. He thought that he would never have anything to do with House Yu in his life, but now House Yu had come to him? Xiaoning. Is she part of your family? Lin Yi let out a soft sigh as the beautiful face appeared in his mind once again. I wonder how she is doing now. Lin Yi sighed. How should he face her? A few hours passed in a blink of an eye. Lin Yi laid on the bed, lost in his thoughts until he heard a noise from the living room. Miss and Shu woke up? Lin Yi looked at the time. It should be about time. He got up from the bed, pushed the door open and walked out, only to see a scene that made him very surprised. What were Miss and Shu doing in the kitchen? Shu, you big idiot. The internet said to pour the oil first. Why did you put the egg first? Meng Yao's angry voice came from the kitchen. Oh, I don't know. I thought you put the egg first and stewed it with soybean oil? Yushu said weakly. Forget it. It's healthier without oil. Meng Yao was speechless. But before she could calm down, another problem happened. The rice cooker made a crackling sound. Shu, what did you do this time? Meng Yao subconsciously ran to the rice cooker and listened carefully. She was shocked and quickly opened the lid. Her face was full of black lines. Why didn't you fill the water? How are you going to cook porridge? Oh, I thought you added the water later. Yushu said. You idiot, I shouldn't have let you be my assistant. With your cooking skills, don't even think about getting married. Meng Yao was so angry that she wanted to kick her out of the kitchen. Oh, Shil bro knows how to cook. I don't need to do it, Yushu said indifferently. You can bring Lin Yi with you when you get married? Meng Yao's eyes widened. I can marry him. Yushu looked at Meng Yao as if it was a matter of course. Shu, tell me the truth. Do you like Lin Yi? Meng Yao stared at Yushu's eyes. Don't you like him too? Yushu asked. I don't, Meng Yao said seriously. Shu, Lin Yi has a girlfriend. Don't go down the wrong path. Oh, I don't. I want to be a small wife. It's okay to have a girlfriend. Yushu shook her head. You are lying to yourself, Meng Yao said. Shu, what are you thinking? I'm not thinking much. I just want to be with Yao Yao sis forever, Yushu said innocently. Fine, I don't care. Do what you want. Meng Yao had a headache. She and Shu had grown up, and although they were still very close, everyone had their own secrets in the depths of their hearts. This had nothing to do with whether they were close friends or not. Everyone had their own secrets. Meng Yao looked at the popcorn in the rice cooker. She didn't know what to do. Lin Yi heard the conversation between the miss and Shu, but he didn't interrupt. Lin Yi had a unique feeling towards Yushu. Lin Yi always felt that Yushu had a certain kind of temperament. Was familiar. But thinking about it, he really didn't know this kind of girl. After the two finished their private conversation, Lin Yi walked to the kitchen. Okay, leave it to me. You two wait in the living room. Chapter 764. Tang Yun's disappointment. Meng Yao looked at Lin Yi apologetically. You must be tired these past 2 days, right? I wanted to wake up early to make breakfast for you, but I didn't expect Shu to ruin it. Ah, I understand. Lin Yi smiled. Meng Yao pulled Yushu out of the kitchen and Lin Yi shook his head. These two really weren't made for cooking, but it was rare enough that the miss was being so considerate. This was probably the first time the miss had cooked in her life, wasn't it? Yushu was probably the same. Before Lin Yi came, the rice cooker's manual was still inside. It was obvious that it hadn't been used at all. Lin Yi was very familiar with making breakfast. He first set the time for the porridge, fried a few eggs, and made a plate of pickled vegetables with sesame oil. It didn't take long before it was served. Yushu looked at Lin Yi, surprised. Yao sis, why are we so stupid? You are stupid, not me. Meng Yao was also surprised by Lin Yi's speed. Meng Yao scooped the porridge for Lin Yi and Yushu heated up the milk for the three. Lin Yi, you didn't sleep well last night. Why don't you not drive? Let Faubert drive us to school? Meng Yao was afraid that Lin Yi would drive if he was tired. I'm not sleepy. I won't go to school in a bit. I have something else to do. Lin Yi smiled. Something else? What are you going to do? Meng Yao asked subconsciously. Today, Qibing Real Estate said that they want to discuss compensation with Tang Yun's family, Lin Yi said. Oh. Meng Yao wasn't too happy when she heard that it was about Tang Yun's family again. Oh, are you going to negotiate? I want to go too. Yushu quickly swallowed the egg in her mouth and drank a mouthful of milk. What are you going to do? Lin Yi found it funny. My nickname is Negotiation Shu. Shield bro, let me go, I promise you'll succeed, Yushu said. Shu, why do you have so many nicknames? What's spy Shu? Meng Yao gave Yushu a kick, not wanting her to get involved in this mess. Oh, that's just the tip of the iceberg. I'm actually an all-rounder. Yushu said. Shield bro, take me with you. I guarantee success. Lin Yi smiled bitterly at the eager Yushu. You really want to go? Yeah. Yushu nodded. Let's go then. Lin Yi didn't mind. It was just one more person. Yao Yao Shield bro agreed. Let's go together? Yushu was very excited. You're a 12th grader now, you can't skip class all the time. Meng Yao said. Are you okay? Just a little while? If I don't go to school, there's no point in you going alone, Yao Yao, right? We're always together. Okay then. Meng Yao hesitated and nodded. She then turned to Lin Yi. It's okay if we follow you, right? It's okay. Lin Yi didn't think much of it. After all, they weren't going to do anything sneaky. They were going to the headquarters of Qibing Real Estate to ask for money. After dinner, Lin Yi called Tang Yun and told her that he would pick her up at the hospital. He also mentioned that Meng Yao and Yushu were going too. Tang Yun wasn't a stingy person. Although she felt that it was weird for Meng Yao and Yushu to follow her today, she let them be if they wanted to. The relationship between the three was weird. They saw each other all the time. They weren't enemies, but they weren't friends either. Ever since the battle at Fatty Lai's house and the cafeteria incident, the relationship between the three girls became weird. On the surface it was still okay, but in her heart she was very cautious. Tang Yun wasn't an idiot. Miss and Yushu's threats made her feel uneasy. Because Mrs. Tang and Tang Yun were going, Lin Yi couldn't drive Mingyao's Audi S5. It would be too crowded, so Lin Yi could only drive the minivan. This time Mingyao and Yushu weren't picky. They obediently sat in the minivan. Although it was bumpy, Miss could still endure it. Lin Yi went to the hospital to pick up Mrs. Tang and Tang Yun. Mrs. Tang was surprised to see the two beauties in Lin Yi's car. She looked at her daughter nervously and asked in a low voice, "Who are they? Do you know them?" "Yes, they're Lin Yi's classmates." Tang Yun didn't tell her mother about the relationship between Miss and Lin Yi. It would be very complicated, and it wasn't something that could be understood in a few words. "They're so pretty. Do you want some immersion? What does their family do?" Mrs. Tang asked worriedly. "We'll talk about it when we get home," Tang Yun frowned. It wasn't good to talk about these things in the car. It would be bad if Lin Yi heard it. Mrs. Tang looked at Mingyao and Yushu. She felt that these two girls were as pretty as her daughter. Also, from the way they dressed, they didn't look like ordinary girls. They looked more like daughters from a rich family. Mrs. Tang saw that Tang Yun didn't answer her question, so she went to ask Mingyao herself. "Hello, you are?" "Auntie, we're here to help Lin Yi negotiate with Qibing Real Estate." Mingyao didn't know what to say. She hesitated and remembered Yushu's reason. "Help us negotiate?" Mrs. Tang heard Mingyao's answer and was surprised. "Yes, my dad runs a company too. He knows a little about this." Mingyao could only say that. She couldn't say that Yushu was messing around and wanted to follow them, right? It'd be awkward if Yushu were to start talking about first wife, second wife or something like that. "Is that so? Thank you so much." Mrs. Tang heard that they came because of this and was happy. As long as it didn't threaten her daughter's position, it would be easy. "It's nothing," Mingyao shook her head. Tang Yun let out a sigh of relief. She didn't want Mingyao to say something inappropriate and make her mother worry. As for how she would explain it to her mother, it was something she would worry about when they got home. At least she didn't have to embarrass herself now. Tang Yun looked at Mingyao gratefully and lowered her head again. She didn't know what to say. Suddenly Tang Yun felt disappointed. From the beginning, when Lin Yi came into her life, Lin Yi seemed to have been helping her family. He never stopped? Chapter 765. Yushu, regretful. It seemed like it was her family's business from the beginning? Lin Yi had been giving his all in silence? And what did she give to Lin Yi? Other than her looks, what other advantages did she have? In an instant, Tang Yun started to feel inferior in front of Mingyao and Yushu. Thinking about it, she couldn't help Lin Yi in any way, but she had to trouble Lin Yi to do so many things for her family, including today's negotiation. Why did he treat her so well? Tang Yun was stuck in it and couldn't pull herself out. Tang Yun didn't know how to face Mingyao and Yushu. Perhaps they were a good match for Lin Yi? But she really couldn't give up her feelings. At this moment, Tang Yun was in a dilemma. She didn't seem to have any advantage in front of Mingyao. The only consolation she had was the fact that she was Lin Yi's girlfriend, wasn't it? Tang Yun didn't want to continue like this. She didn't want to be a useless person. She wanted to help Lin Yi with some things, but she didn't know how to do it. She didn't even know where to start if she wanted to help Lin Yi with his company. She looked at her mother and was a little annoyed. How could her mother understand her troubles? She kept asking Lin Yi for this and that. Why did he give it to her? If her body could replace Lin Yi's kindness, Tang Yun would do it without hesitation. But Tang Yun knew that this wasn't an exchange. Feelings couldn't be exchanged. It wasn't as simple as repaying with her body. Who? Tang Yun took in a deep breath. But how could she repay Lin Yi? For the first time, Tang Yun became sentimental. Only when there was a comparison would there be a difference. For the first time, Tang Yun felt that she was lacking. Lin Yi drove the car to the Qibing skyscraper where Qibing Real Estate was located and parked the car in the underground parking lot. "I didn't expect Qibing skyscraper to be built so quickly. Aren't you afraid that it'll collapse again?" Lin Yi didn't know that Tang Yun was thinking a lot on the way here. He joked to himself after getting off the car. "Oh, I really want to see the building collapse. It's a pity that I didn't see it before." Yushu looked at the parking lot of Qibing skyscraper and said disappointedly. "Didn't the news report it?" Mingyao said. "But there's no process of it collapsing. It must be fun when it collapses." Yushu said as she fantasized. "Bang, the building collapses. It's so fun." "All right, stop daydreaming. Let's go up," Mingyao said as she pulled Yushu's hand. On the second floor, there was a surveillance room next to the temporary demolition team office. Master Bing, Zihua, and Su Jiaonong were watching the surveillance footage from the parking lot. Qibing's skyscraper had just been completed and hadn't been officially opened yet. Thus, there were only the three of them in the building. Motherfucker, the building collapsed with a bang? Master Bing gritted his teeth after hearing Yushu's words. His eyes were filled with hatred. I'll make you guys explode with a bang later. This girl is called Yushu from House Chin. Sihua introduced Yushu's background. She's usually a little dumb. I think there's something wrong with her IQ? I don't care whose family she's from. Since she's with Lin Yi, she has to die. Master Bing laughed coldly and looked at Tang Yun and Meng Yao. These two pretty girls, it's such a waste for them to die. Yeah, it's a waste for them to die, Sihua nodded. But my legs aren't good, and it's not convenient for me to play with women. It doesn't matter if I die. Qibing felt a surge of hatred when he thought of his legs. Alright, let's go now and wait for them to come up? Sihua asked. Yeah, let's go together. Master Bing nodded. Sihua pushed Zhao Qibing and Su Jiaonong to the demolition project office and waited for Lin Yi and the others. Not long after Lin Yi, Tang Yun, Mrs. Tang, Meng Yao, and Yushu came up to the demolition project office. Lin Yi didn't expect Qibing and Sihua to be here. He thought that only Su Jiaonong would come. Hello, my surname is Su. I'm the manager of Qibing Real Estate's demolition project. Su Jiaonong introduced himself. Oh, you don't need to introduce yourself. I know you. Aren't you that Jiaonong? What manager of Floating Cloud Bar? And that Sihua, I know him too. Aren't you guys from Floating Cloud Bar? Yushu didn't wait for Jiaonong to finish and interrupted him. Huh? Why is there a disabled person here? He came in a wheelchair? Are you guys a scammer? How did a bar owner come to open a real estate company? Ahem, other than running a bar, we also run a real estate company. Sihua sweated, but he didn't dare to say anything. Zhao Qibing was infuriated as well, but he didn't dare to fight Lin Yi head-on. After all, Lin Yi was a mystic class master, someone who could fight against Uncle Zhu head-on. Who knew how much of his strength had recovered. Even if he recovered half of it, it was more than enough to beat them up. Although Zhao Qibing was furious, he could only maintain a smile on his face. We seem to have a misunderstanding before? But it's all a misunderstanding. Today we sincerely invite you guys to discuss compensation. Zhao Qibing thought to himself. I'll lower my stance and make you guys happy first. Later I'll install a time bomb in your car. Let's see if you guys can still be happy then. Of course, Zhao Qibing wasn't afraid of being investigated. Other than the three of them, there was only Zhang Yuzhou who was waiting near the parking lot. When the time bomb exploded, there would be no evidence. If he didn't admit it, who could do anything to him? Qibing's building wasn't officially open yet. There were no witnesses. Oh, it's a misunderstanding. Lin Yi smiled. Although he had a smile on his face, he was more and more suspicious of Zhao Qibing's motives. Lin Yi didn't believe that Zhao Qibing would be so generous. He broke his leg, and not only did he say it was a misunderstanding, he even wanted to offer compensation. That wasn't being generous, he was an idiot. There must be something fishy going on. Lin Yi was very suspicious of Zhao Qibing's motives. This was also the reason why he came with Tang Yun's family. Of course, it's a misunderstanding. Zhao Qibing smiled and nodded. Jiaonong, tell us your compensation plan. Let Ms. Wang see if it's reasonable. Chapter 766. Shu the Negotiator, 2 million. Actually, to Mrs. Tang, 2 million was already a lot. How could she not agree? But since Lin Yi came along, she needed Lin Yi's approval. 2 million? So little? Yushu spoke up. She thought that she couldn't come here for nothing. She had to use Shu the Negotiator's advantage. But she really didn't know how to negotiate. She said that she was Shu the Negotiator in the morning, but it was just bullshit. She just wanted to join in the fun. Of course, 2 million is just the number we suggested. If you don't think it's suitable, we can discuss it. Jiaonong didn't expect Yushu to speak up before Mrs. Tang could. However, he had a principle in mind. No matter what the other party's request was, he had to calm them down first. Once Zhang Yuzhou was done with the time bomb, everything would be fine. You should at least give me 200 million, right? Yushu thought for a while and suddenly remembered the saying on TV. Ask for as much as you want, but you'll have to pay. So she directly gave him 200 million. Jiaonong was so shocked that he rolled his eyes. 200 million? Why don't you go rob someone? 200 million? Wasn't that a little too much? Was that a bungalow or a skyscraper? Zhao Qibing frowned. Although he had decided to agree to some of Lin Yi's unreasonable requests, he couldn't ask for too much, could he? 200 million? What kind of joke was this? Even if he agreed, Lin Yi wouldn't believe him. Instead, he would suspect his motives. So Zhao Qibing could only say, "Little girl, isn't this price a little insincere? No, I heard that your skyscraper collapsed with a bang. You didn't even care and built another one. Yushu blinked. This skyscraper is at least 100 million, right? So 200 million isn't too much at all. Zhao Qibing's eyes widened. What was this? It was two completely different things. The skyscraper collapsed with a bang? Did he want it to collapse? If it wasn't for Lin Yi, this bastard, how would his skyscraper collapse? Zhao Qibing gritted his teeth in anger. He wanted to bite Lin Yi to death. The building is only worth 100 million, and your bungalows are made of gold and silver? Is it worth 200 million? Qibing frowned. Mrs. Tang, who was at the side, also widened her eyes. How are these two people here to negotiate? Was he clearly here to cause trouble? What if he made the other party angry and refused to give him a single cent? However, Lin Yi didn't say anything at the moment, so Mrs. Tang couldn't say anything. She could only pray in her heart. It would be good if they could get 2 million yuan. Please don't lose even 2 million yuan. Wouldn't it be 200 million if your skyscraper collapses again? Yushu counted with her fingers. When will your skyscraper collapse again? Don't forget to invite me to take a look around. What algorithm is this? Zhao Qibing was infuriated. He wanted to ask Yushu if she was here to cause trouble, but when he remembered that the people in front of him were about to be killed by the bomb, he felt much better. Oh, then how much can you pay? Yushu didn't want to talk to him anymore. It wasn't fun at all. 3 million, this is our limit. Zhao Qibing raised 3 fingers. Naturally, he couldn't give Lin Yi so many benefits in one go. He wanted to delay as much time as possible and wait for Zhang Yuzhou to install the bomb. You're so stingy. No wonder the skyscraper collapsed. If you continue to be so stingy, the skyscraper will collapse again. Yushu's mind was filled with the skyscraper collapsing, so she talked about the skyscraper collapsing. Even if it collapses, you don't have to worry about it. Zhao Qibing was furious. You have such a bad conscience. Why do you always want my skyscraper to collapse? What's in it for you if the skyscraper collapses? Of course, if Zhao Qibing knew that Yushu wanted the skyscraper to collapse just for fun, would he die of anger on the spot? Mrs. Tang's heart skipped a beat. 3 million. Another million in such a short time? It couldn't be, right? Could this kind of negotiation really produce results? Mrs. Tang was a little surprised. Was this really the negotiation method of rich people? Was it because he was too ill-informed? Was Yushu actually helping her family? At this moment, Mrs. Tang had no more doubts in her heart. No matter what method Yushu used, as long as she could get the compensation, she didn't care what she said. Oh bro, he only gave 3 million. I can't do it anymore. You do it. Yushu felt that it was good enough that she got 1 million more. But Yushu's words were a little ambiguous. I can't do it anymore. You do it. Lin Yi sweated. Why did it feel like she was hinting at something? Meng Yao seemed to have sensed something wrong, but since Tang Yun and Mrs. Tang were there, she didn't say anything. If Meng Yao could sense it, naturally Tang Yun could as well. She looked at Yushu, not knowing if she did it on purpose or not. Tang Yun felt that Yushu wasn't as dumb as she looked on the surface. She had other intentions. Of course, Tang Yun didn't find any evidence. On the surface, Yushu was indeed dumb. Oh, okay, I'll do it. Lin Yi pretended that he didn't hear it and said. Mrs. Tang's mind wasn't on this. Her attention was on the 1 million, and she didn't have the heart to listen to anything else. Qibing, Zihua and Su Jianong were the same. Their attention was on keeping Lin Yi's group steady so that Zhang Yuchu would have enough time. Alright, Zhao Qibing, don't increase it by 1 million. Tell me your bottom line. Lin Yi didn't know what Qibing was playing at, so he didn't know what his bottom line was. Until now, Lin Yi still couldn't understand why Qibing called him here. Was it just compensation for Tang Yun's family? Lin Yi didn't believe it unless Qibing, Zihua and Jianong were stupid as well. Moreover, Zhao Qibing easily increased the compensation price from 2 million to 3 million, so it seemed like this number could still be increased. 5 million, this is my bottom line, Qibing said, but I have a request. What request? Lin Yi frowned. Was this the reason why they called him here? Chapter 767. A check for 5 million not interfering with the relocation of the slums? Lin Yi didn't think that Zhao Qibing would go through so much trouble just because of this. If Zhao Qibing was afraid that he would ruin his plan, it was possible that he would use money to convince him. Seeing Lin Yi's expression, Zhao Qibing was proud of himself. He had planned this for a long time. If he only gave Lin Yi benefits, then Lin Yi would definitely be suspicious. Wouldn't he be an idiot if he gave him benefits after his leg was broken? While he gave him the money, he also made this request, so everything seemed reasonable. He wanted to demolish the slums, and Lin Yi was the biggest threat. He was afraid that Lin Yi would interfere with the relocation of the slums, so he gave him such a generous compensation. This way it was equivalent to him showing his weakness. He just wanted to keep his face, so he gave him the money in the name of compensation. This way Linny wouldn't suspect his ulterior motives. Otherwise no one would be an idiot. How could he break his leg, collapse his building, and pay 3 million in medical fees, and then pay another few million in compensation? Wouldn't he be an idiot? Zhao Qibing's condition really put Linny in a difficult position. Logically speaking, the relocation of the slums had nothing to do with him. Linny wasn't someone who liked to meddle in other people's business, but the problem was, would Tang Yun let him? So Linny looked at Tang Yun. Tang Yun was actually in a difficult position. If possible, she wanted Linny to take care of the poor people in the slums. If she didn't meet Linny, her family would probably be the same as them. Maybe Zhao Qibing would take a liking to her, and it would be even worse. However, although Tang Yun thought that way, she couldn't do it. No matter how strong Linny was, he couldn't take care of everything, could he? There were so many injustices in the world, how could Linny manage them all? Besides, Zhao Qibing had made it very clear that if there were neighbors that he had a good relationship with, he could help them personally. This had nothing to do with the demolition. However, even if Tang Yun took out the 5 million, there were so many residents in the slums. Each family would only get a few thousand yuan. It was a drop in the bucket. So Tang Yun hesitated. Mrs. Tang didn't care. What did others have to do with her? If other people were poor and couldn't get compensation, it was because they didn't have the ability. If they didn't have a son-in-law like Linny, who could they blame? They could only blame their daughters for being useless. When her man was bedridden at home, she didn't see anyone give her family money or help her find connections. Although Shantytown was basically poor, it was impossible for everyone to have no connections. If Tang Juqing could find someone to intercede on his behalf, he wouldn't be unable to get a penny. At the same time, there was another resident in the slums who also worked in the electronics factory. He also scalded his feet due to work injury. He used his connections and paid more than 10,000 yuan. At that time, Mrs. Tang went to their door to ask for help, but that family didn't want to implicate them, so they didn't even open the door. So Mrs. Tang thought to herself, I don't care if you live or die. I'll take my money and live in my big house. However, although Mrs. Tang thought so, with Linny there, she couldn't make the decision. She could only look at Linny. Oh, okay. Linny saw that Tang Yun didn't say anything. It was obvious that he had the initiative in his hands, but for the slums, the compensation shouldn't be too low. Try to implement it according to the standard? This was the last thing Linny could do. Linny had tried his best to do this. After all, no matter how powerful Linny was, he couldn't force Zhao Qibing to give 5 million to each family, right? He wouldn't be able to earn money then. He would lose money in a few days. I'll think about it, Zhao Qibing nodded. Zhao Qibing nodded. No matter what, he agreed to Lin Yi's request first. If Lin Yi died later, he wouldn't have to carry out the mission anymore. Okay, when will you give me the money? Lin Yi nodded. Oh, I'll get someone to write a 5 million check and send it over, Zhao Qibing said. Isn't it faster to transfer money? Lin Yi frowned slightly. Transfer money. It's like this, our company's account has a monthly transfer limit. Didn't I just transfer you 3 million? So if you transfer another 5 million, it would exceed the limit. Zhao Qibing had already thought of an answer and said calmly. Oh, then get someone to send it over. Although Lin Yi was suspicious of Zhao Qibing's intentions, he still nodded. Okay, I'll make a call now, Zhao Qibing said and gave Zihua a look. Zihua understood immediately. He took out his phone and called Zhang Yuzhou. Hello? Zhang Yuzhou? Where are you? Zihua stood up and walked to the window purposely so that Lin Yi and the others couldn't hear his voice on the phone. Zihua bro, don't worry. I'm in a very safe place, Zhang Yuzhou said. The bomb has been installed. As soon as Lin Yi starts the car, the timer will start. Oh, then prepare a 5 million check for me right now, Zihua said. Okay, I'll go now, Zhang Yuzhou said. In fact, this call was for Zihua to confirm whether the bomb was installed or not. As for the check, it was just a random excuse. After a while, Zhang Yuzhou knocked on the door and walked in. He placed a check in front of Zhao Qibing. Master Bing, the check is ready. Okay, let me see. Zhao Qibing looked at the amount on the check. After making sure that there were no problems, he signed his name on it. He then passed it to Lin Yi. You can make a call to confirm the validity of the check. Lin Yi nodded and took the check. He called the bank and made sure that the check could be cashed before giving it back to Mrs. Tang. Zhao Qibing's attitude today was very strange. Lin Yi had to be more careful. As for what Zhao Qibing said about not letting him interfere with the slums, Lin Yi felt that it was a bit unreliable. In fact, from the start of the demolition until now, Lin Yi was only helping Tang Yun's family. As for the others, Lin Yi didn't interfere at all. With that, today's negotiation ended smoothly. Zhao Qibing didn't ask Lin Yi and the others to stay. He turned to Zihua. Zihua, go send Lin Yi and Miss Wang's family off. Chapter 768. Playing tricks. Zihua had completely defined this negotiation on the level of benefits, which made it seem more real. Zihua wanted Lin Yi to think that they were only compromising because they hoped that Lin Yi wouldn't destroy the slums. I hope you're telling the truth. Don't play any tricks and reap what you sow. Lin Yi nodded and naturally didn't want to stay any longer. He brought Tang Yun, Mrs. Tang, Mengyao, and Yushu out of Qibing's office. When Yushu left, she seemed a little reluctant. Zhao Qibing, do you have a recording of your skyscraper collapsing? What do you want? Qibing frowned, thinking that Yushu was a troublesome person. Oh, nothing, I just thought it was fun and wanted to watch. Yushu said. No. Let's go. Qibing was pissed as he waved his hand at Yushu impatiently. Oh, that's too bad. Next time when your skyscraper collapses, you have to tell me in advance so I can come and watch. Yushu said disappointedly. There won't be a next time. Qibing almost jumped out of his wheelchair. Motherfucker, are you here to cause trouble? I'll blow you up later. Mengyao pulled Yushu back, telling her not to say anything. After all, this was someone else's territory, and Mengyao was afraid that Yushu would cause trouble. Yushu stuck out her tongue and followed Lin Yi out of the office. The group got into the elevator and went to the underground parking lot. Qibing, Zihua, Su Jiaonong, and Yuzhou, who were in the office, came to the surveillance room and saw Lin Yi's group getting into the car. They burst into laughter. So what if Lin Yi is good at martial arts? He's still going to die from the explosion. Qibing laughed. Yeah, you won't be able to cash the check. When the time comes, with a bang it will explode and the check will turn into powder. You won't be able to cash it. Su Jiaonong sneered. When Qibing and Zihua were discussing, Jiaonong had suggested using a check to pay Lin Yi and the others. Once the money was transferred, they wouldn't be able to get it back. Using a check, on the other hand, as long as the check was destroyed, the money in the bank would be gone. And Su Jiaonong, you're still the ghost Dao. Not bad, not only did you kill Lin Yi, you also saved us a lot of money. Qibing praised. Isn't this because of Master Bing's good training? Master Bing doesn't want to think about such insignificant tricks. Master Bing is someone who does big things. Leave this kind of conspiracy to us little brothers. Su Jiaonong said modestly. And Zhang Yuzhou, is the time bomb okay? Qibing nodded and looked at Zhang Yuzhou. Don't worry, Master Bing, I got TNT explosives. With such a big bag, not to mention a van, even a skyscraper would be blown to the ground. Zhang Yuzhou said proudly, this time I don't believe that Lin Yi won't die. I'm just worried that when they explode it will affect other people. Affect other people? That has nothing to do with us. Who told those idiots to get close to their car? They deserve to be blown up. Qibing didn't care about other people's lives. From his perspective, as long as Lin Yi died it was fine. If other people didn't die, it was their own fate. That's true, who told them to get close to Lin Yi's car? They deserve to be blown up. Zhang Yuzhou added, I set the time for the explosion to happen 20 minutes later. With the current traffic, it's impossible to reach the First People's Hospital, Lin Yi's villa, or the nearest bank within 20 minutes from Qibing's skyscraper. So, as long as Lin Yi doesn't stop the car in the middle of the road and walk away, he's dead for sure. That's good, then we'll wait for the good news. Qibing nodded, his heart filled with joy. It wasn't that the time hadn't come yet, but what about it? No matter how strong Lin Yi was, no matter how strong he was, he would still be blown up by him, wouldn't he? Lin Yi got in the car and just as he started the engine, the Jade jumped and sent a signal of danger. As expected, there was a problem. Lin Yi's heart tightened as he quietly turned off the engine. Clack, clack. From inside the car there was a faint sound that sounded like the second hand of a mechanical clock. Time bomb, that was the first thought that came to Lin Yi's mind. Although he had been in Songshan for more than a month, Lin Yi still hadn't forgotten the cruelty of the battlefield. It was impossible to make such a sound in a car. Since the Jade had sent a signal of danger, Lin Yi naturally didn't suspect that there was a time bomb in his car. In an instant, Lin Yi understood why Qibing had asked him to come here to talk about the compensation. So this was what he was planning. He could stabilize himself during the negotiation and then, in the parking lot of the skyscraper, he could install a time bomb in his car without any worries. This way, when he drove the car out of the skyscraper, the bomb would explode not long after, and he and the people in the car would be smashed into pieces. This was a good plan, wasn't it? Lin Yi also understood why Qibing didn't use the bank transfer method and used a check instead. After the car exploded, the check would naturally be smashed into pieces. That way the money in the bank wouldn't be lost. This Qibing wasn't stupid, was he? After understanding Qibing's plan, Lin Yi smiled coldly. He didn't want him to interfere with the slum's demolition? What a good excuse. If it was someone else who wasn't vigilant, they would have fallen into the trap already. Luckily, Lin Yi didn't believe Qibing from the start and had been vigilant from the start. Lin Yi quietly started the car again and drove out of the underground parking lot of Qibing's skyscraper. After entering the main road, he quickly stopped the car at a blind spot by the roadside. This corner couldn't be seen from the skyscraper. An evil plan was born in Lin Yi's mind, so Lin Yi couldn't let Qibing and Sihua know what he was doing. Chapter 769. Chapter 0769. Qibing didn't believe that the police would do anything to him, since there was no evidence. With his status, no one could touch him. But it wouldn't be a good thing if he attracted the attention of the police. What's wrong? Tang Yun asked curiously when she saw Lin Yi suddenly stop the car by the roadside. It's nothing, there seems to be something wrong with the car? I'll go check. Lin Yi naturally wouldn't say anything about the bomb in case the people in the car panicked. Of course, Lin Yi wasn't in a rush. He wasn't afraid that the bomb would explode immediately, since Qibing and Sihua weren't idiots. They wouldn't set the time for the bomb to go off in a short time. If Lin Yi didn't drive out of the parking lot and the bomb exploded, they would be in trouble as well. Can't you go buy a better car? Meng Yao didn't have high hopes for Lin Yi's broken car. I'll probably go buy one soon. Maybe we can drive yours and choose next time? Lin Yi shrugged with a smile. Oh, I'll let you drive the S5 next time. Meng Yao didn't care about cars. She didn't like things like that. She didn't mind giving it to Lin Yi. Lin Yi didn't reply. With Tang Yun here, it wasn't easy to answer. Tang Yun looked at Meng Yao and pursed her lips. She didn't say anything. What Meng Yao could give to Lin Yi, she couldn't return it to him now. However, Tang Yun's mood had changed a lot. She realized that if she had a grateful heart, she wouldn't feel that Meng Yao and Yushu were hostile towards her. They could help Lin Yi, so why should she stop them? Besides, some things couldn't be stopped. The only thing she could do was to work hard and become someone who could help Lin Yi. Lin Yi got out of the car and quickly found the time bomb Zhao Qibing's men had installed in the car's undercarriage. It was a very old-fashioned mechanical time bomb, and it was easy to dismantle. But in China, in a place like Songshan, it was already very good to be able to get a bomb of this level. Those high-end electronic bombs couldn't be bought so easily. In such a hurried situation, this was the best he could do. Lin Yi checked the remaining time of the bomb. There were 17 minutes left. The enemy must have set it to explode in 20 minutes. After reading it, Lin Yi did not touch the ticking time bomb, nor did he intend to dismantle it. Lin Yi stood up and got in the car, starting it up again. How is it? Meng Yao asked. I'll show you a good show later. Lin Yi drove the car slowly on the road. Oh, there's a good show? What kind of show was there? I want to watch. Yushu was excited to see a good show. It's what you want to see the most. Lin Yi realized that Yushu could be considered a prophecy monarch now. Every time she said something unintentionally, it would come true. What I want to see the most? Yushu was stunned. She didn't understand what Lin Yi was talking about. You'll know later. Lin Yi smiled. Meng Yao and Tang Yun were confused. They didn't know what Lin Yi was talking about. They wanted to ask, but Yushu had asked before and Lin Yi didn't say anything specific. So they didn't continue asking. Lin Yi drove the car to a place where he could see the Qibing skyscraper. This place was far away from the skyscraper, but there was still a certain distance between them. Lin Yi was afraid that if the skyscraper really collapsed, it would hurt a few people. Lin Yi found a spot with a good view and stopped the car. Why are we stopping here? Meng Yao was confused. Shield bro, when are we going to watch the show? Yushu asked. Here, Lin Yi said. You guys get off here. Here. Tang Yun and Meng Yao froze. Only Yushu jumped down the car excitedly and looked around. Here. Lin Yi nodded. Here. Look at the Qibing skyscraper. There will be a good show soon. Meng Yao wanted to say something, but seeing that Lin Yi was so sure, she didn't ask any more and got off the car with Yushu. Tang Yun also got off the car with Mrs. Tang. Mrs. Tang was confused and kept asking Tang Yun what was going on. I don't know either. But Lin Yi wants us to watch the show? Let's watch, Tang Yun said to her mother. In fact, Tang Yun had already guessed something. Was Lin Yi going to do something to Zhao Qibing? Would it be dangerous? Tang Yun wanted to tell Lin Yi to be careful, but she swallowed her words when she saw Lin Yi's confident smile. Wait for me here. Lin Yi didn't get off the car and said to Tang Yun, Meng Yao and Yushu. What are you going to do? Don't listen to Shu and mess around. Meng Yao was worried. Haha, I'm just returning something to Zhao Qibing. Linny smiled and started the car, slowly driving towards the Qibing skyscraper. Yao Yao sis, Shield Bro said that he wants to watch the show? What are we going to watch? Yushu looked at Meng Yao curiously. I don't know. Didn't I tell you to watch the Qibing skyscraper? Meng Yao pointed at the skyscraper. Oh, is Shield Bro going to bomb the skyscraper? Oh, that's awesome. Yushu thought of this possibility and was extremely excited. Shield Bro is too good to me. I love you so much. Meng Yao glared at Yushu. What are you blabbering about? It's nothing. Yushu shut her mouth. Tang Yun frowned. Wasn't this Yushu embarrassed? She dared to say anything? Even she didn't dare to say that, right? But, was Linny really going to bomb the skyscraper? Tang Yun faintly felt that this was the case. Since Linny asked them to wait here and watch Qibing's skyscraper, something must have happened to the skyscraper. But, why did Linny want to bomb the skyscraper? Was it just to please Yushu? Although Tang Yun felt that Linny wasn't a shallow person, she took a closer look at Yushu. This girl was really likable. If she was a guy, maybe she would like her too? Lin Yi calculated the time and drove the car into the underground parking lot of Qibing skyscraper when there were only 5 minutes left. After getting off the car, Lin Yi locked the car and quickly left the skyscraper. A cold smile appeared on Lin Yi's face. You still want to use the bomb? Then enjoy the power of the bomb. Chapter 770. The skyscraper collapses again. We have to open the champagne tonight to celebrate Lin Yi's death. Our business in Songshan is going to soar. Qibing wanted to kill Lin Yi even in his dreams, and now that his dream had come true, he was so happy that he didn't know what to do. It's about time. The time bomb on Lin Yi's car should be exploding soon, right? Yuchu said as he looked at the time on his watch. Yes, Zihua. Go turn on the TV, the news should be reporting soon. Qibing ordered. Yes, Master Bing. Zihua turned around and was about to turn on the TV when his phone rang. Zihua subconsciously took it out and saw that it was Lin Yi. He hesitated for a moment before answering. He didn't know why Lin Yi was calling him at this time, but it was good enough to hear the moment Lin Yi died. Hello. Lin Yi, what's up? Zihua pretended to be calm. Zihua bro? I just remembered that I have something to do. I'll leave the car with you for now. If anything happens, I'll have to ask for compensation. Lin Yi said before hanging up. Hello. What do you mean? What are you talking about? What? Zihua suddenly exclaimed as he stared at the monitor. He froze on the spot as if a spell had been cast on him. What are you doing? Qibing was shocked by Zihua's sudden quack, and he scolded him, dissatisfied. What? Qibing was shocked by the sudden quack. Master Bing, bad news, bad news. He's back. Zihua only recovered from the shock after Qibing's scolding. He pointed at the monitor with a trembling finger. He's back. What's back? Qibing paused. Lin Yi's back. Zihua said hurriedly. Lin Yi drove the car back to the underground parking lot. What? What did you say? Qibing was shocked when he heard Zihua's words. He turned to look at the monitor and froze. Lin Yi's broken van appeared in the underground parking lot of Qibing skyscraper again. Quick, get this car out of here. We don't have the keys. Even if we push the car out now, we won't make it in time. There are less than 5 minutes left before the bomb explodes. Zhang Yuzhou also saw the scene on the monitor. He pointed at his watch while trembling and said, Master Bing, let's run for our lives. Then remove the bomb and throw it away. Master Bing was shocked and immediately ordered. Master Bing, we don't have enough time. Plus, who would dare to go? It'll take us at least 2 minutes to get down from the elevator. Let's run for our lives. Zihua said after a moment of silence. Motherfucker, hurry up and push me downstairs. Lin Yi, fuck your uncle. You liar. Master Bing's eyes were bloodshot. He was about to explode. Zihua didn't dare to stay any longer. He pushed Master Bing into the elevator with Su Jiaonong and Zhang Yuzhou following behind. The four of them got out of the elevator and ran madly out of the skyscraper. Qibing didn't care about the bumpiness of the wheelchair as he urged, quick, 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 quick. The four of them finally got out of the skyscraper. When they reached the opposite side of the skyscraper, they heard a loud bang followed by the rumbling sound of the skyscraper collapsing. The majestic brand new Qibing skyscraper turned into ruins in an instant. Qibing looked at his newly built skyscraper collapsing just like that. He wanted to cry but no tears came out. Gone? Gone again? Qibing felt like he was dreaming. The first skyscraper collapsed on the first day it was built. The second skyscraper also collapsed on the first day it was built. This speed was simply unprecedented and would never be matched in the future. Zihua's face was green as well. He didn't expect Lin Yi to do this. Wasn't this too cunning? There were less than 5 minutes left and he drove the car back. Who would dare touch the car now? Even if they knew there was a bomb, they wouldn't dare to go near it. Fuck. What kind of bomb is this? Why is it so powerful? Qibing's eyes widened as he asked with bloodshot eyes. Tinti. I was afraid that it wouldn't be enough to kill Lin Yi. He's a golden class master after all, so I used a strong TNT. Zhang Yuzhou said weakly. Motherfucker, my skyscraper. Qibing almost cried. Was it easy for him? The first skyscraper was demolished by Lin Yi the moment it was built. The second skyscraper was also just built and Lin Yi blew it up. But who was to blame? Should she blame Lin Yi, or should she blame herself? Zhao Qibing felt very annoyed. He was supposed to kill Lin Yi with the bomb, but in the end Lin Yi didn't die. Instead, his skyscraper was blown to the ground. Wasn't this too unfair? If the skyscraper and Lin Yi were blown up together, Qibing would accept it. As long as Lin Yi died, the skyscraper would be destroyed. The point was that nothing happened to Lin Yi. Master Bing, I didn't expect this either. I should have used normal explosives. Zhang Yuzhou explained guiltily when he saw Qibing's distorted face. Lin Yi, if I don't kill you, my name isn't Zhao Qibing. Fuck you. Qibing, on the other hand, didn't blame Zhang Yuzhou. Zhang Yuzhou had done it out of kindness. He was afraid that it wouldn't be enough to kill Lin Yi, so he used explosives. Why would Qibing blame him? Lin Yi was too cunning. If Lin Yi didn't drive the car back, the skyscraper wouldn't have collapsed. But at that moment, Sihua's phone rang. It's Lin Yi. Sihua looked at the caller ID and said carefully. Answer it. Let's see what he has to say. Qibing gritted his teeth. Hello. Sihua picked up the phone. Sihua bro, what happened to your skyscraper? My car is still in the underground parking lot. You guys are too irresponsible. You have to pay for my losses. Lin Yi's voice was pale from the other side of the phone. Sihua wanted to curse, but he didn't after some hesitation. Qibing, who was on the side, heard the conversation as well. He reached his hand out to Sihua. Give me the phone. Sihua quickly passed the phone to Qibing. Lin Yi? You're good, we'll see. Qibing said hatefully. Chapter 771. Shield bro was too strong. Qibing almost had smoke coming out of his head from Lin Yi's words. You're going to call the police? Who am I going to call the police? It's my building that got blown up, alright? But Qibing didn't dare let Lin Yi call the police. If they were to investigate this matter, they might find some loopholes. After all, Lin Yi's car exploded in the parking lot of Qibing's skyscraper. If they were to investigate the source of the bomb, Qibing was afraid that something would go wrong. It's just a broken van, do you really need that much money? Qibing said hatefully. Master Bing, that's not true. My car is very high-end. I spent 300,000 on it. Lin Yi said calmly. Fuck. 300,000? Qibing almost threw the phone in his hand. 300,000? Why don't you go rob someone? Do you think you're driving a BMW? Even if it's a BMW that's about the same quality as a broken van, it's not worth 300,000. 300,000, I'll pay you. Qibing didn't want to waste time with Lin Yi. But remember, we're not done here. Hot Sihua bro has my account number. Just ask him to transfer the money to me. Lin Yi smiled. Bank account, it won't be over the limit this time, right? Qibing was infuriated by Lin Yi. He hung up and threw the phone on the ground. Master Bing, we're really going to go bankrupt this time. Sihua didn't care if his phone was broken or not. He built 2 skyscrapers. The first one was funded by Gubang and Sihua was only supporting him. But the second one was completely funded by Sihua. Sihua's heart was bleeding when the skyscraper collapsed. That was all his money. It was gone just like that. Demolish it tomorrow. Demolish the slums, demolish the orphanage. Build the houses for me, I want to recover all the losses. Qibing roared, start the demolition project as soon as possible. Yes, Master Bing. Sihua nodded, but the Qibing skyscraper. I'm not doing it anymore. Let's rent an office for now and wait for the money from the slums and the orphanage to build the Qibing skyscraper. Zhao Qibing didn't care about his face anymore. He knew that Qibing real estate had suffered a huge blow. If they didn't make any money, they would really go bankrupt. Qibing had wanted to show House Zhao some results, but not only did he fail to do so, but 2 of his skyscrapers were destroyed. Forget about entering House Zhao, he'd be lucky if the direct descendants of House Zhao didn't treat him as a joke. Okay, I got it. I'll go to Shantytown tomorrow and deal with this personally. Sihua sighed. How to deal with Lin Yi was Zhao Qibing's problem. At the very least, the people in his hands couldn't fight against Lin Yi. From the looks of it, it was useless to play tricks with Lin Yi. Just like today's bomb, not only did it not hit Lin Yi, but it blew up his skyscraper instead. He was as unlucky as he could get. Not far from the skyscraper, Mengyao, Yushu, Tang Yun, and Mrs. Tang stood by the roadside and stared at the skyscraper. They didn't know what would happen to it. Yao Yao sis, is there any problem with the skyscraper? Yushu asked anxiously. Don't worry, take your time. Mengyao didn't know what Lin Yi was doing, so she could only explain it to Yushu. Oh. Yushu just nodded and heard a loud bang. Then, Qibing's skyscraper collapsed as if it was a special effect in a movie. It instantly turned into ruins. Qibing's skyscraper collapsed. Mengyao's eyes widened, and so did Tang Yun's and Mrs. Tang's eyes. Damn, Shil bro is too strong. Yushu smacked her lips and looked at the scene in front of her in disbelief. She didn't think that Lin Yi would collapse Qibing's skyscraper. Although she said that before, she only said that the skyscraper collapsed. It wasn't something that could be done so easily. However, Lin Yi did it. Yushu felt sweet in her heart. Shil bro treated her so well. She wanted to see the skyscraper collapse, so he did it. His mistress was still very spoiled. Mengyao rubbed her eyes and couldn't believe the scene in front of her. Did it really collapse? Tang Yun also felt that Lin Yi was too ruthless. He just made someone else's skyscraper collapse, and now he made it collapse again? Master Bing said that this skyscraper was worth 100 million. 100 million was gone just like that? How much was that? Tang Yun felt dizzy. Mrs. Tang was also heartbroken. Wouldn't it be great if so much money was given to her family? It was gone just like that, what a pity. Was it fun? Lin Yi came back while everyone was still in shock. Oh Shil bro, you're so strong. I'm so excited. Yushu screamed, I finally saw the skyscraper collapse, it's so fun. Lin Yi, how did you do it? Mengyao was surprised as well. How did Lin Yi do it? Lin Yi, are you okay? Tang Yun didn't want to be outdone and asked with concern. Zhao Qibing wanted to kill us, so he put a time bomb in the car. Lin Yi wasn't afraid to explain now that he was out of danger. I just drove the car back to their underground parking lot. Time bomb. Mengyao was shocked. You said that there was a problem with the car, but you were actually checking for the bomb? That's right, but I didn't say it because I didn't want you to worry. Lin Yi nodded. Why did you do such a dangerous thing? You knew there was a bomb, why didn't you run away? Why did you drive the car back? Tang Yun was scared after hearing Lin Yi's words. If he didn't control the time well, it wouldn't be the skyscraper that got blown up, it would be Lin Yi. Could it be that Lin Yi took the risk just to please Yushu? Tang Yun didn't feel comfortable. Isn't that letting them off easy? Plus, what if the car exploded on the side of the road? Lin Yi shrugged. The best place I could think of was their own skyscraper parking lot, and it wouldn't hurt innocent people. Oh, then did Zhao Qibing die? Yushu asked excitedly. No, I called them before the explosion. If they died, who would pay for the car? Lin Yi didn't think that he could kill Zhao Qibing. Even if he didn't call them, they could still see him driving the car back to the building. Chapter 772. Even worse than Shu. Oh, I was wondering why Shield Bro said that you were going to change cars soon. So you've already planned it? You're even worse than Shu. Yushu giggled. Ah, not as bad as you. Lin Yi smiled. Of course, but Shu likes bad guys. Yushu felt that Lin Yi was her type. They could be a prankster duo. Lin Yi, you destroyed Zhao Qibing's skyscraper again. Will there be any problems? Tang Yun frowned. She felt that Yushu's words were too obvious. Even if she liked Lin Yi, she couldn't say it in front of her, could she? Did I do it? They blew up their skyscraper with their own bomb, and I even took a ride there. They have to pay for the damage. Lin Yi said with heartache. That was my first car. It's very sentimental. Did we pledge our love in that car? What are you talking about? Tang Yun was embarrassed. Lin Yi's words reminded her of that night. She was drugged by Zhou Ruoming. That was the first time Lin Yi touched her body in Lin Yi's car. It was also at that time that she confirmed her feelings for him. Did she want to be with him? It seemed like it. Tang Yun didn't know what was going on in her heart. It was as if she liked Lin Yi all of a sudden. Miss acted as if she didn't hear what Lin Yi and Tang Yun said. She was still calm as if it had nothing to do with her. She waited until Lin Yi and Tang Yun finished talking. Lin Yi, how do we go back now? I've already called Faubert. You should be on the way. Lin Yi said. When you pass the bank on the way back, can you help Andy Wong cash the check? She hasn't done this before? All right. The eldest miss nodded. It was impossible to tell what she was thinking. Faubert's car wasn't small, but it could only seat 5 people. With Lin Yi there would be one more person. Lin Yi decided to walk. He asked Faubert to send Mengyao, Yushu and Tang Yun to school first. Mengyao also thought about the number of people. Are you going back? I'll go ask Lingshan if there's anything I need to do to get her car destroyed, Lin Yi said. Falbert's Bentley drove over. Lin Yi let Mrs. Tang sit in the front passenger seat while Mengyao, Yushu and Tang Yun sat in the back. It was the first time in her life that Mrs. Tang sat in such a good car. She looked at the shiny paint of the car and was excited. This was a car that could only be seen on TV. One day she could actually sit in one. Tang Yun, on the other hand, was a little embarrassed. She was a little embarrassed to ride with Mengyao without Lin Yi. But when she remembered that Mengyao also rode in Lin Yi's car, she let out a sigh of relief. The driver, Uncle Fu, on the other hand, didn't look down on the mother and daughter at all. Instead, he maintained his respectful demeanor. In fact, even if Lin Yi wasn't a mystic class master, Falbert would still be respectful towards Lin Yi and the people around him. This was because of Chu Pingzhan and also because Lin Yi saved Mengyao several times. Just these 2 points alone made Falbert respectful towards Lin Yi and the people around him. Moreover, just yesterday Falbert found out that Lin Yi was a mystic class master and could even create a golden class dog. He was shocked to the point that he couldn't believe it. Now, his admiration towards Lin Yi came from the bottom of his heart. It was worship towards a strong master. This was also the reason why Lin Yi let Tang Yun and her mother ride in Falbert's car. At least Falbert wouldn't be rude to her. Miss and Shu, both of them were kind-hearted. They wouldn't use the method of showing off their wealth to deal with Tang Yun. That was what Miss disdained. In fact, when Mengyao and Tang Yun were fighting, they never mentioned family background or money. Their method of fighting was just who was prettier and who could have threesomes. This made Lin Yi feel funny, but it also made him understand Miss's character on a deeper level. Miss wouldn't treat people differently based on money. As for the first time when she met Lin Yi, her hostility towards Lin Yi probably came from her vigilance and rejection towards strangers. Miss didn't have many friends in her life. How could she accept a man living in the same villa as her? Thinking back to Mrs. Mockery, wasn't it a reflection of her loneliness? Lin Yi realized that the more time he spent with Miss, the more he felt that she was a very, very cute girl. Watching Falbert's Bentley leave, Lin Yi walked towards the direction of the school. As he walked, he started thinking if he should buy a 7-seater touring car. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to fit so many people when he went out. If he were to drive Tang Yun, Kang Xiaobo, Fin and Xinwen, a normal car would be enough, but if Mengyao and Yushu wanted to join in the fun, then it wouldn't be able to fit. As for Lin Yi saying that he wanted to ask Lingshan how to operate the damaged car, it was just an excuse. Lin Yi didn't want to put Mengyao and the others in a difficult position, so he said that and didn't get in the car with them. Xiaoka had gained quite a lot these 2 days. Yesterday she killed a big fat sheep and successfully escaped from Lingshan, making her feel very happy. Xiaoka felt like a mouse playing with a cat. Today her luck was pretty good. Not long after Xiaoka left, she saw a thief who had just stolen someone's wallet and was looking for a place to count the money. Xiaoka rolled her eyes and followed quietly. Although she stole money, she had a strong sense of principle. She only stole from the rich, corrupt officials and evil people. She also stole from the people in the same trade as her. The so-called peers were naturally thieves as well. Xiaoka would occasionally do some dirty things. Naturally, the members of this organization were Xiaoka's targets. Xiaoka followed the thief carefully and looked at the wallet in his pocket with envy. That was a lot of money, more than 10,000. She didn't know where this guy stole it from. Just the quality of the wallet alone was good. He must be rich. Maybe there were some shopping cards in the wallet. That would be even more profitable. Chapter 773. Yu Xiaoka's troubles. If she had a shopping cart, she could buy a lot of good food for the children in the orphanage. Yu Xiaoka's mouth twitched, very envious. She followed the thief unhurriedly and arrived at a rather remote street. But after a while, Yu Xiaoka felt that something wasn't right. Why didn't the thief take the time to take out the money and throw it away after stealing the wallet? Normally, thieves wouldn't keep someone else's wallet on them for a long time. They would take out the valuables immediately and throw it away no matter how expensive the wallet was. Otherwise, if someone found out, they'd be caught red-handed. It was reasonable for the thief to be careful on the main street, but now that they were in a secluded street, it didn't make sense that the thief wouldn't take out the wallet to check. Yu Xiaoka was a cautious person and she believed in one thing: there must be something fishy going on. The moment she felt that something was wrong, her first thought was to give up. She wanted to turn and leave, but she suddenly realized that there were 4 bulky men in the alley behind her. Yu Xiaoka's heart skipped a beat, and she immediately understood that these people were coming for her. Otherwise, how could there be such a coincidence? The thief who had been walking in front turned around as well, and the 5 of them surrounded Xiaoka in a circle against a high wall. "You Xiaoka, do you still recognize me?" One of the four bulky men, the one with earrings, was obviously the leader. He stared at Yu Xiaoka, revealing a mouthful of yellow teeth. His eyes shone with a sinister light. Who are you? Did you get the wrong person? Yu Xiaoka laughed and looked around, trying to find a chance to escape, but the wall behind her was simply too high, and she couldn't run even if she wanted to. In front of her, there were 5 bulky men surrounding her, and it was impossible to escape. Yu Xiaoka's qigong wasn't bad, but it didn't mean that she could beat these 5 bulky men. Yu Xiaoka did have some kung fu, but it wasn't enough to fight 1 against 5. Xiaoka, did you really forget about me? Piercing's face showed a trace of hatred. He pointed to his crotch and said, "Fuck you, little bitch. You kicked one of my balls. Don't tell me you forgot?" Ugh. Xiaoka blinked her eyes and suddenly remembered who the person in front of her was. She couldn't help but laugh dryly. "So it's Blackbird, bro? Hello, long time no see. Haven't we not seen each other for a long time? We haven't seen each other for half a year. I was lying in the hospital for half a year." The man with piercings, Blackbird, glared at him. "I just stole money from a beggar. How dare you kick my balls? Aren't you a fucking thief too? What justice and morality are you talking to me about? Let me tell you, your father has been looking for you for more than half a year." "Why are you looking for me? We don't know each other very well, right?" Xiaoka was really scared. She was no match for these 5 men. "What are you doing? You shitty fiend, how much money do you have to steal from my men? How are you going to pay for this?" Blackbird laughed coldly. "Xiaoka, let me tell you. Don't even think about running away now that you are in my hands. I specifically chose this location for you. It wasn't easy to lure you in." Indeed, no matter how good Xiaoka's qigong was, she couldn't escape in this situation. No matter how good her qigong was, she couldn't jump over a high wall. "Ugh, it's not that much, only tens of thousands. I can return it to you." Xiaoka could only show her weakness. "Tens of thousands? Were you kidding? You stole at least 100 to 200,000 from us." Blackbird sneered. "Let's not pay for this for now. What about my balls? I, Blackbird, am a famous figure in the underworld. Now that a woman has kicked one of my balls, where is my face?" "Then what do you want?" Xiaoka asked nervously. She wanted to say that she didn't do it on purpose. Who told Blackbird to steal money from a begging girl and touch her breasts? Xiaoka was infuriated and kicked one of Blackbird's balls. How could Blackbird, who was alone, be Xiaoka's opponent? Plus, Xiaoka's sudden attack injured him. Xiaoka's qigong was good, so she ran away after hitting him. Blackbird didn't even have the chance to call for help. "What do you think? I, brother Blackbird, swore that I would fuck you." Blackbird looked at Yu Xiaoka with a lustful gaze. "I'll give you 2 choices. One is to obediently become my woman after I fuck you. Then we'll be a family and we'll forget about what happened in the past." "What else? What's the other choice?" Xiaoka was speechless. Become Blackbird's woman? She might as well kill herself. "There's another choice, but I advise you not to choose it." Blackbird laughed. "There's another choice. After you fuck me, you can fuck my brothers together. After that, we will be even." Blackbird was only a thief and didn't dare to kill anyone. That was why he gave these 2 choices. "I don't think that's a good idea." Xiaoka rolled her eyes. "Ugh. Actually, I already have a boyfriend, so I can't agree to your choice." "Boyfriend? Were you kidding? I heard that you're a virgin?" Blackbird licked his lips. "I haven't been with a virgin before, hee. Ugh. Actually, that's a rumor. I already have a boyfriend. I lost my virginity a long time ago. I'm already a broken flower, so I'm not fun." Xiaoka was anxious. Why was there no one in this alley? Why were there only a few people after so long? She didn't even have a chance to ask for help. "Oh, if that's the case, then you can only choose the second choice. We're just having fun, so we don't care if you're a broken flower or not. Isn't that right, brothers?" Blackbird asked the others with a perverted smile. "We don't care, ha." The men laughed. Chapter 774. Dear save me, ha. Blackbird and the other muscular men started laughing. They were laughing so hard that it was as if they had heard the funniest joke in the world. "Even the police can't kill our entire gang. Can your boyfriend do it? Is he Superman? Or Ultraman?" One of Blackbird's men mocked. Does this girl think her boyfriend is the main character of a fantasy novel? Is your boyfriend called Lu Lei or Yang Ming?" Another man who liked to read web novels asked in a mocking tone. These characters were all the main characters of a novel called Very Pure Very Ambiguous Prequel. Yu Xiaoka was nervous, but she couldn't show her guilt in front of Blackbird and the others. She laughed dryly. My boyfriend? I- I- Isn't he here? Suddenly, Xiaoka cried out excitedly. He's right behind you. Darling, come and save me. Save me. Save me. Keep pretending. Are you trying to distract us so that you can escape? Do you think we'll believe you? Blackbird laughed coldly. He didn't believe what Yu Xiaoka said. From his point of view, Yu Xiaoka had no choice but to make up a boyfriend to confuse them and use this chance to escape. It's true. Yu Xiaoka continued to shout, Save me, honey. Here. I'm here. I'm your Yu Xiaoka. Linny didn't drive, so he wouldn't take the main road. He followed the direction of the school and found a shortcut. Of course, Linny wasn't worried about going the wrong way. As long as the sun was pointing in the right direction, Linny wouldn't get lost. This was the most basic rule of survival in the jungle. Only by identifying the direction quickly would one be able to survive. Although Linny was passing through a deserted alley, Linny knew that he was going in the right direction, so he wasn't worried. After walking for a short while, he saw 5 burly men besieging a young girl not far away. Linny was the type of person who wouldn't stick his nose into things that didn't concern him. Unless he knew the person involved, Linny wouldn't stick his nose into other people's business. However, the girl's voice sounded somewhat familiar. Moreover, the girl's cry for help also made Linny stunned. Was there anyone else in this alley other than him? Linny was shocked. Why didn't he sense anyone approaching from the alley? Could it be that this little girl's husband was a peerless expert that even he couldn't find traces of? But Lin Yi's guess was wrong because when Yu Xiaoka said darling, it was directed at Lin Yi, and other than Lin Yi there was no one else. You called me? Lin Yi pointed at himself. He was somewhat inexplicable. Although Lin Yi had already recognized who this little girl in front of him was, he had only met her once. She was definitely not his darling. Lin Yi's voice stunned Brother Blackbird and the other men. They thought that Yu Xiaoxiao was calling out randomly, but there was no one there. However, Lin Yi's voice had changed their minds. Keep an eye on this little girl. Don't let her escape. After Brother Blackbird ordered the 4 men, he turned around and looked at Lin Yi. With one glance, his nervous heart immediately calmed down. From his point of view, Lin Yi was a gigolo. How could such a small and skinny body be his opponent? Even if Lin Yi was really Yu Xiaoka's boyfriend, he was probably only slightly skilled in Qigong. How could he be a match for the 5 of them? Therefore, after one glance, Brother Blackbird didn't put Lin Yi in his eyes at all. Yeah, darling, come and save me. These people want to play with your wife. Yu Xiaoka waved her hand at Lin Yi. Huh. Lin Yi widened his eyes. These people want to play with my wife? Play with Tang Yun? But he understood what was going on. Xiaoka must have been surrounded by these people, and in a moment of desperation she wanted him to help, but was afraid that he wouldn't help, so she used his identity first to shift the blame to him. It seemed that this female cat burglar wasn't stupid. Lin Yi's impression of Yu Xiaoka wasn't good, but it wasn't bad either. At least Yu Xiaoka was pretty and moving. This was what made Lin Yi happy. Therefore, when Yu Xiaoka was in trouble, Lin Yi didn't have a choice whether to help or not. It was entirely up to Lin Yi's mood. You are Yu Xiaoka's man? Brother Blackbird looked at Lin Yi from head to toe with his bird eyes. He didn't seem to care about Lin Yi at all. Lin Yi ignored Brother Blackbird and walked towards Yu Xiaoka. He frowned as he walked. Didn't I tell you to go home and practice for a few years before coming out? How is it? Did you get caught for stealing? Lin Yi thought that Yu Xiaoka was surrounded because she stole Brother Blackbird's things. In fact, Lin Yi's guess was both right and wrong. Yu Xiaoka did steal a lot of money from these thief groups, but she was just stealing from them. Although Brother Blackbird hated Yu Xiaoka, if that was the case he would have just caught her and extorted some money from her. He wouldn't want to have sex with Yu Xiaoka. The current situation was that one of Blackbird's eggs was broken by Yu Xiaoka's kick, and he had the thought of keeping Yu Xiaoka as his exclusive property. From his perspective, if he didn't fuck Yu Xiaoka, how could he face his broken egg? I'm talking to you. Didn't you hear me? Did I allow you to come over? Brother Blackbird wanted to stop Lin Yi, but he failed. In the blink of an eye, Lin Yi was already beside Yu Xiaoka. No. They are thieves. Chase them away from me. Yu Xiaoka whispered to Lin Yi. Thieves? Aren't you a thief too? Lin Yi asked back. It's not the same. I'm a good thief and they are bad thieves. Yu Xiaoka was about to cry. I beg you, help me this once, okay? Or else I'll be raped. There are good and bad thieves? Lin Yi was amused. Yu Xiaoka's explanation was quite amusing. Plus, what does your rape have to do with me? Of course there are good and bad thieves. I'm a good thief and they are just doing it for their own selfish desires. I'm different from them. Yu Xiaoka explained, Look, I stole so much money, but I'm only wearing cheap clothes that cost 20 yuan. Oh, you're a little stingy. You stole money and you're still wearing clothes that cost 20 yuan? Lin Yi glanced at Yu Xiaoka's clothes. It was indeed tattered. It was even more tattered than Tang Yun's clothes. She wasn't lying. Chapter 775. Spend it all? Did you steal a lot of money from them? Lin Yi looked at Blackbird and his underlings. They didn't look like good people. In comparison, Lin Yi was more inclined towards Yu Xiaoka. Not a lot, only 100,000 or so. Yu Xiaoka said carefully. Damn. Lin Yi was shocked. 100,000 is not a lot? No wonder they want to play with you. Can't you just return the money to them? I can't return it. How can I return it all? Yu Xiaoka said with a sad face. 100,000? You spend it all? Why are you wearing such shabby clothes? Lin Yi found it hard to believe. I didn't spend it. I gave it to someone else. Yu Xiaoka said. Can't you help me? I know you're good. Gave it to someone else? You stole money and gave it to someone else? Are you crazy? Lin Yi wanted to help Yu Xiaoka, but after hearing her words, he felt that it was better to stay away from her. You're the one who's crazy. I need to feed the entire orphanage. There are hundreds of people in it. How long can 100,000 be enough? Yu Xiaoka glared at Lin Yi. Lin Yi was startled. He didn't expect Yu Xiaoka to steal money to feed her family. But one person feeding 100 people? That sounded a little ridiculous. However, the word orphanage made Lin Yi's heart move. Lin Yi hadn't seen his parents since he was young. He was basically an orphan. If it wasn't for his master and the old man, Lin Yi might have grown up in an orphanage. So Lin Yi decided to believe Yu Xiaoka for once. How much do you owe me? I'll pay it for you first. It's not as simple as just owing money. I also kicked Blackbird Bro's balls. Xiaoka blushed as she said softly. Lin Yi's eyes widened. No way. So violent? Did he just kick someone's balls? No wonder he wanted to play with you. No matter who it was, they would feel unbalanced. Lin Yi thought to himself, even if I'm a genius doctor, I can't give him a new one after kicking him for so long. Then let him play. I can't do anything. How can I do that? Xiaoka's eyes widened. I'm still a virgin, okay? I heard that virginity is worth a lot of money. I was thinking that one day when the children in the orphanage don't have enough to eat, I would sell my virginity. Pfft. Lin Yi almost choked to death after hearing Xiaoka's words. Xiaoka's idea was quite shocking. But if that was what Xiaoka was thinking, then he respected her quite a bit. Could a girl really make such a big sacrifice for a group of orphans? Lin Yi looked at Xiaoka's eyes. She didn't look like she was lying. That was why Lin Yi believed Xiaoka for now. Okay. Can you help me first? I, Yu Xiaoka, am a famous heroine in Jianghu and everyone knows that I'm loyal. If you're in trouble in the future, I won't hesitate to help you. Yu Xiaoka saw that Lin Yi had the intention to help her and quickly continued. Alright, I'll help you. Heroine? Female cat burglar? Lin Yi shrugged. I don't think I'm in trouble. What the hell? You two are whispering to each other. Do you think I don't exist? Blackbird was about to explode from anger. How did a pretty boy appear out of nowhere and become Yu Xiaoka's husband? But I don't care if you are Yu Xiaoka's husband or not. Since you're here, don't even think about leaving. Songshan's thief organization and Fian sect had been enemies for a long time. Since Lin Yi was Yu Xiaoka's husband, he must be a member of Fian sect. Since they met today, they would fight together. I didn't pretend that you don't exist. But it doesn't matter to me whether you exist or not. Lin Yi looked at Blackbird and said, What's your name? Good. Gigolo, you're very arrogant. Blackbird laughed coldly, but I don't know if you can still be so arrogant later. Have you heard of me, Blackbird? Lin Yi smiled coldly, but I don't know if you can still be so arrogant later. Blackbird was the second in command of the Songshan thief organization. Naturally, he was a well-known figure. Anyone in this line of work would know his name. Even the rogue thieves had to pay a visit to Brother Blackbird before they could commit crimes in Songshan. No. Lin Yi shook his head honestly. But Blackbird bro, right? Since you and she are both thieves, we're in the same industry. Let's just forget about this. Don't look for trouble. A thief is a thief. Don't cross the line and do some hooligan things. What the hell? Who do you think you are? How dare you lecture me? Blackbird was furious. He pointed at Lin Yi and said to his 4 subordinates, Beat this kid until he's disabled. Then we'll play with you, Xiaoka. Hee okay, Blackbird bro. The 4 men surrounded Lin Yi. Yu Xiaoka was nervous. When she saw Lin Yi, she wanted him to save her. It was out of instinct. In this empty alley, Lin Yi was her only hope. But now that Linny was here, Yu Xiaoke was worried. Linny was alone and there were 5 men. Could Linny deal with them? Linny didn't look strong. Yu Xiaoke believed that Linny could deal with one of them. She could fight one of them alone. That was why she dared to follow the thief to this empty alley. Yu Xiaoke thought that she could deal with it even if it was a robbery. But who would have thought that the situation would take a turn for the worse, and she was surrounded by 5 people. Xiaoke could only rely on Lin Yi in a moment of desperation. Can you do it? Yu Xiaoke asked worriedly. I can't. Why don't you do it? Lin Yi smiled and asked. Then you do it. Good luck. Yu Xiaoke saw that Lin Yi wasn't nervous at all. She was relieved. It seemed that Lin Yi was confident. Otherwise he would be thinking of running away. Brat, be sensible and let your brother play with your wife, then you can leave. One of the men looked down on Lin Yi. He felt that Lin Yi couldn't even take one punch from him. That's right. Look at your gentle face. You can be a thief but you can't fight, right? Don't ruin your face. It'll be inconvenient for you to commit crimes in the future. Another man mocked. Chapter 776. Protective Armor Art, fuck. This kid is still so stubborn even in the face of death. Beat him until his mother can't recognize him. The burly man who had demanded that Lin Yi give up his wife looked as if he had been greatly insulted. He glared and swung his fist at Lin Yi. Bam! The burly man's fist landed on Lin Yi's body. This punch was very solid. The burly man was very pleased with himself. This kid was really an idiot. He didn't even know how to dodge. Even he didn't expect that his punch would land. Wasn't he too lucky? The burly man imagined the scene of Lin Yi flying backwards. He was very pleased. However, in the next moment he felt that something was wrong. Because he suddenly felt a sharp pain coming from his fist. Bah! The burly man screamed and retracted his fist. His fist had already changed shape. It could no longer be called a fist. It had completely turned into a meat patty. It was obviously fractured. I'm so sorry. I accidentally broke the hand that you rely on for survival. Lin Yi looked at the burly man with a broken hand regretfully. He touched the place where the burly man had hit him. Looks like this protective armor art is not bad. It's quite useful, huh? The burly man who was rolling on the ground in pain was stunned when he heard Lin Yi's words. Then he felt a little resentful. Why did this kid wear protective armor art when he went out? If he had known, why would he have hit him? He should have hit his head. How unlucky. However, there was no use in being unlucky. There was no medicine for regret in this world. He could only accept the fact that his hand was broken. The other 3 burly men who hadn't made a move initially thought that Lin Yi had practiced some kind of divine skill when they saw the burly man on the ground suddenly break his hand. They didn't dare to make a move. But after hearing Lin Yi's words, they came to a sudden realization. So this kid had a treasure on him to protect himself. In that case there would be no problem. It wasn't that this brat could take a beating, but it was the armor he was wearing. In that case, wouldn't it be better to just hit his head directly? Blackbird was shocked by Lin Yi and didn't know what to do. When he heard that Lin Yi had a treasure, he was overjoyed. Go! Snatch his armor. Blackbird couldn't help but look forward to it. If he could have this armor, he could wear it whenever he went out. He wouldn't have to be afraid of being caught stealing anymore. Whoever dared to beat him would have to pay the price in blood. Looking at his underling on the ground, his arm was broken, right? Blackbird hated himself for not meeting Lin Yi earlier. If he'd met Lin Yi earlier and gotten this treasure, he wouldn't have been kicked by Xiaoke. Xiaoke would have broken his leg. He was born at the wrong time. Blackbird felt that it was a pity, but it wasn't too late. At least with this armor, he could protect his only remaining egg from being attacked. The 3 men already had the intention to attack Lin Yi. When they heard Blackbird's order, they were eager to make a contribution. They swung their fists at Lin Yi's head. Bang! 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 With 3 muffled sounds, the 3 men punched Lin Yi's head at the same time. From their point of view, even if Lin Yi didn't faint, he would at least have a concussion. However, it was too early for them to be happy. Before they could react, a sharp pain came from their fists. Ah, my hand. It hurts. Why is his head so hard? Mine is broken too. How is this possible? The hands of the 3 burly men were also twisted beyond recognition. It was as miserable as one could imagine. The 3 men rolled on the ground in pain. It was embarrassing enough. You have armor on your head as well? Blackbird was also shocked by the scene. He couldn't believe that his subordinates, who were still alive and kicking a few moments ago, were now crippled. Yes. Lin Yi nodded. How is this possible? How come I didn't see it? Blackbird was stunned. Yu Xiaoke was surprised as well. It was understandable that Lin Yi had armor on his body, but how could there be armor on his head? Moreover, Yu Xiaoke suspected Lin Yi's words from the beginning. She was very close to Lin Yi and could clearly see that other than a shirt, Lin Yi didn't have any other clothes on. How could there be armor on his head? The fists of the 4 people on the ground did not seem to have hit anything hard at all. Even if a person's fist hit an iron sheet, they would at most get a swollen fist or a fractured joint. It was impossible for their fists to become like this. Judging from the condition of these people's fists, it seemed as if they had been forcefully destroyed and compressed by some external force. Their hands were completely distorted as if they had been blown up by an explosion. As a result, Xiaoke doubted whether the armor he was talking about was real or not. Of course you can't see it, Lin Yi said calmly, because this is the martial art that I practice. It's called armor. Are you fucking kidding me? Blackbird heard Lin Yi's words and was furious. He felt like he was played by Lin Yi. He thought that Lin Yi had some kind of treasure on him, but he didn't expect that Lin Yi didn't have any treasure at all. Instead he practiced armor. I'm not kidding. I told you before that it's armor, Lin Yi said innocently. But you didn't say that it's armor? Blackbird gritted his teeth in anger. He was humiliated today. He wanted to teach Yu Xiaoke a lesson, but he didn't expect Yu Xiaoke's boyfriend to appear out of nowhere. Not only did Yu Xiaoke defeat his 4 underlings, but he also seemed to be fine. That's my abbreviation. I thought you knew it. I didn't expect you to be so stupid. Lin Yi looked at Blackbird mockingly. Kid, don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you practice some body-hardening martial art. Do you know who I am? Blackbird pretended to be fierce. He didn't expect Lin Yi to be so strange. I know. Didn't you say that you are called Blackbird? Did you change your name again? Lin Yi looked at Blackbird strangely. Was this guy like Yushu who liked to change his name? Yushu's name change was cute, but this guy was an idiot. I, Blackbird, am the second in command of Songshan's thief organization. Now that you hurt my men, how are you going to pay for this? Blackbird wasn't stupid. He knew that he couldn't use force anymore. His 4 underlings had lost their ability to fight, and he was the only one left. If he continued to fight with Lin Yi, wouldn't he be humiliating himself? Chapter 777. Let's call someone. Oh? You said you're the second in command of the Songshan thief organization? Lin Yi froze when he heard Blackbird Bro's name. It was a little funny in his heart. Silly girl, why is your luck always so good? It seems like you've gotten lucky ever since you met me. Lingshan had called Lin Yi earlier, asking him to help keep an eye out for the thief organization in Songshan, and Lin Yi had only said it casually. He didn't have any intentions of helping Lingshan look for them at all. Lin Yi had enough things to do every day, and he didn't have the time to help Lingshan look for some thief organization. However, Lin Yi didn't expect that the second in command of the Songshan thief organization would come knocking on his door after just one day. Since the second in command was out, how could he lure the first in command out as well? Lin Yi thought that since he'd bumped into her, he might as well help Lingshan get rid of her as well. It wasn't a big deal, and the Song girl had been quite obedient lately. He decided to give her some more benefits. How is it? Are you scared now? Blackbird Bro saw Lin Yi's expression and thought that Lin Yi was scared of him. He was very proud of himself. Let me tell you, although our thief organization isn't as ruthless as the mafia, we're still not someone you can mess with as a disciple of the Fian sect. You know Tsihua Bro, right? I do. Lin Yi nodded and thought, Tsihua still owes me 300,000 for the car compensation. How can I not know him? Tsihua Bro is protecting our thief organization, so you know what to do, right? Blackbird Bro knew that Lin Yi knew Tsihua. This saved him the trouble of explaining. Since you know Tsihua, do you still dare to mess with us? What to do? They were the ones who hit me. I didn't do anything, right? Lin Yi shrugged and said innocently, fuck? Blackbird was stunned. He thought about it carefully and realized that it was indeed the case. Lin Yi just stood there motionlessly, and it was his men who beat him up. In this way, it wasn't Lin Yi who hit someone, but his subordinate who was careless and injured himself. Who told you to practice that armor? With Tsihua's name, Blackbird became more confident. He didn't think that Lin Yi would dare to do anything to him after hearing Tsihua's name. I'll give you 2 choices now. First, apologize to us and prepare a table of wine. Then, compensate my brothers with 1,800,000 in medical fees and we'll forget about this. I don't have money and it's not my fault. My body is like this. Who told them to attack me with their fists instead of knives or other weapons? Lin Yi listened carefully to Blackbird's words and smiled bitterly. Then what's the second choice? Blackbird was stunned after hearing Lin Yi's words. Was Lin Yi an idiot? Why did he expose his own weakness? So he was afraid of weapons and knives. Alright, I didn't know what the second choice was to threaten you with, but now I have one. The second option is that I can call a group of thieves with knives and they will hack you to death. No matter what kind of armor you have learned, you will die. Brother Blackbird threatened. Xiaoka was shocked. Lin Yi would expose his weakness? Tell Blackbird his weakness? Xiaoka didn't believe it. From her point of view, Lin Yi was a smart person. Even she was fooled by him a few times. Why would Lin Yi tell Blackbird his weakness? Moreover, from Xiaoka's point of view, Lin Yi's so-called armor was complete bullshit. Blackbird fell into the misunderstanding that Lin Yi gave him from the start. He thought that Lin Yi used his body to cause the injuries on the four men's hands. In fact, Xiaoka didn't think that was the truth. Although she didn't know how Lin Yi did it, Xiaoka felt that Lin Yi must have done something. I'm so scared. Lin Yi pretended to be scared, but I really don't have money. What should I do? As he spoke, Lin Yi turned to Xiaoka. Honey, how much money do we have left in our vault? Where do we have money? We've spent it all. Xiaoka didn't expect Lin Yi to suddenly say that. After a moment of daze, she cooperated with him. She wanted to see what trick Lin Yi was playing. However, Blackbird was going to be unlucky. From Xiaoka's understanding of Lin Yi wasn't someone who liked to suffer losses. Last time she stole his wallet, he took it back with interest. Since Blackbird provoked Lin Yi, how could Lin Yi let him go so easily? Look, my wife said that we don't have money. Lin Yi looked at Blackbird helplessly. Fuck. I think you two won't give up until you see the coffin. Blackbird naturally didn't believe Xiaoka's words. Xiaoka had stolen more than 100,000 yuan from robbers. In addition to the money she stole herself, she had probably stolen more than 1,000,000 yuan. Since Blackbird caught these two, how could he let them go so easily? Xiaoka's qinggong was good. If he let her go this time, he didn't know when he would catch her again. Also, this Lin Yi was very strange. He practiced some kind of armor skill. Even if he let him go this time, it would be difficult to catch him again. No, Blackbird bro, look, we really don't have money. Lin Yi shrugged. If we had money, we wouldn't steal money. Right, honey? Yeah. We steal money because we lack money. Who would want to be a thief if they have money? Who would want to do such a bad job? Xiaoka nodded. Fuck. Are you saying that I'm bad? Blackbird was enraged. Fine, you have guts. If you have guts, don't leave. Stand here and wait. I won't kill you. As he spoke, Blackbird took out his phone and dialed a number. Giant dear bro, I'm Blackbird. I met Xiaoka and her man from Fian sect at Old Tao Alley. Her man is a bit difficult to deal with. I need 10 people with knives to come and chop him up. After Blackbird finished the call, he looked at Lin Yi fiercely. Are you scared now? I'm not joking. I'm telling you, don't even think about running. Songshan is Tsihua Bro's territory. You can't run even if you want to. If you don't give me an explanation today, don't even think about making a living in Songshan. Chapter 778. Sect Leader Senior Sister Lingshan, what do you mean? Blackbird froze after hearing Lin Yi's words. You'll know what I mean soon, Lin Yi said as he took out his phone and called Lingshan. Lingshan was currently at the police station, collecting the final evidence of the kidney trafficking organization. With Zhong Pingliang and Zhang Wen's testimonies, the case could basically be closed. Lingshan's phone rang and she took it out. Her heart skipped a beat when she saw Lin Yi's name on the screen. She quickly picked up the phone. Good man, why did you call me? Lingshan was alone in her office and there were no outsiders, so she didn't need to hide anything. Song Shiji, I'm at Old Tao Alley, and I'm surrounded by the thief organization of Songshan. A second-in-command called Blackbird Bro is looking for people to kill me. Lin Yi said directly. What? You found the thief organization's member? Or their second-in-command? Lingshan's blood was boiling after hearing Lin Yi's words. She really wanted to rush over and give Lin Yi a kiss. He solved the case so quickly. She just told him about the thief organization yesterday, and he solved it for her today? Lin Yi was such a good man and he treated her so well. It seemed like Lin Yi liked her silly girl very much. Otherwise, why would he help her like this? Lingshan couldn't hold back her joy. As for the Song Shiji that Lin Yi called her, Lingshan didn't understand. Since when did she become Song Shiji? Our Fian sect has been holding grudges against them for a long time. Head Shiji, you need to send some people to help us. We're going all out today and we'll fight it out with the thief organization. Lin Yi didn't answer Lingshan's words but continued, bring more people or else we'll be at a disadvantage. Alright, I'll bring them over now. Lingshan wasn't an idiot. Lin Yi's words were a little weird, but she understood what he was implying. He wanted her to bring a large force over. Senior Sister Sect Leader, you came personally? That's great. I'll wait for you here. Linny didn't wait for Lingshan to reply and hung up. He pointed at Blackbird and said, "Who doesn't know how to find people? Our sect leader Senior Sister has said that because our Flying Sparrow Gate and your group of thieves have a long-standing grudge, today we will fight to the death here." Xiaoka's eyes were wide open. Who is Linny calling? Senior Sister Sect Leader? How could the Flying Swallow School have a sect leader Shiji? This branch of the Flying Sparrow School had been passed down to only one disciple, and he was the only disciple. Moreover, Lin Yi wasn't even a member of the Flying Sparrow School, so why was he acting so well? However, although Xiaoka was confused, she didn't voice it out. She decided to wait and see. Lin Yi must have his reasons for doing this, and Xiaoka had a feeling that Blackbird was going to be in big trouble soon. Fuck, I said that you guys are fat and you're panicking? Blackbird heard that Lin Yi called the Flying Sparrow School's sect leader Shiji over, and he was a little angry. Do you think I don't know how to call people? Since your Flying Sparrow School doesn't know what's good for you, we'll destroy you guys today. People of the same trade were enemies, especially the Flying Sparrow School, which often took advantage of others. The thief group hated them deeply. Of course, they only knew that Xiaoka was from the Flying Sparrow School, but they didn't know the structure of the Flying Sparrow School. They didn't know where Xiaoka lived or what her real identity was. Otherwise, Xiaoka wouldn't be able to live peacefully in the orphanage. From Blackbird's point of view, Xiaoka wasn't the only member of the Flying Sparrow School, but Xiaoka was one of the more conspicuous ones. He had never seen this Lin Yi before, but Blackbird believed that Lin Yi must have done a lot of shady business, but he was more secretive about it. Blackbird had already blamed Lin Yi for all the failures in the gang. He felt that the Flying Sparrow School must have done something, so his hatred for the Flying Sparrow School had reached a new level. Brother Blackbird dialed Brother Giant Deer's number again and said, "Brother Giant Deer, Fiend Gate is also calling for reinforcements. They are preparing to fight with us. Their senior sister has already taken action. What do we do?" What? The Flying Sparrow School is calling people over? Their sect leader is coming as well? Giant Deer froze for a second, then he was overjoyed. Since they want to die, then don't blame us. I only wanted to send 10 people, but this time, I'll bring all the members of the thief organization and kill them. Okay, Giant Deer Bro, I'll wait for you. Blackbird heard that Giant Deer Bro was coming, and he instantly felt confident. His thief organization had 40 to 50 people, and if all of them came, wouldn't they be able to kill the Flying Sparrow School? How many people could the Flying Sparrow School have? 8 to 10 at most. Blackbird Bro didn't put them in his eyes at all. From his point of view, if the Flying Sparrow School had more people, they wouldn't be in such a miserable state in Songshan, and Xiaoka wouldn't be so weak. After hanging up the phone, Blackbird pointed at Lin Yi and said, "Kid, so what if your sect leader is here? Giant Deer Bro brought all the members of our thief organization here, and we'll kill you all." It can't be? Your sect leader is here too? Lin Yi pretended to be surprised, but in his heart he thought, "I was afraid that you guys wouldn't come." The reason why Lin Yi acted like this was because he wanted Blackbird to call all the members of the thief organization over, and then he would kill them all at once. Otherwise, with Lin Yi's skills, it would be easy to take down Blackbird Bro, but after taking him down, it wouldn't be easy to wipe out the thief organization. Blackbird Bro was caught, and the thief organization would definitely be alerted. It was basically impossible to kill them all at once. However, Lin Yi cleverly used the grudge between the Flying Sparrow School and the thief organization to lure all the members of the thief organization over. Blackbird probably didn't even think that the person Lin Yi called wasn't the Flying Sparrow School, but the criminal police captain Lingshan. In fact, Blackbird didn't even think about this. He already thought that Lin Yi was with Xiaoka, so how could he be related to the police? It was a complete fantasy. Under normal circumstances, Giant Deer Bro wouldn't appear personally, as he had to be on guard against the sudden attack of the police. However, the Songshan Thief Organization and the Flying Sparrow School had a long history of grudges, and Giant Deer Bro had wanted to kill the Flying Sparrow School for a long time. Chapter 779. Chapter 0779. The real side of Yu Xiaoqi, even the head of the Flying Sparrow sect was here, so how could the head of the thief organization Giant Deer Bro not come personally? How is it? Are you scared now? Your puny Fiend Gate is no match for our gang of thieves. Blackbird saw Lin Yi's scared face and felt great. You should think about what to do later. Our big boss is here, and it's not something that can be settled with just 1,000,000 or 800,000. Man. Lin Yi sighed, troubled as he dialed Lingshan's number again. Good person, what are you doing? I'm on my way? Lingshan saw that Lin was calling again and quickly picked up. She was driving the cheetah and there was no one else in the car. Head sister, it's bad. The big boss of the thief organization, Giant Deer Bro, is coming with all his men to kill us. What should we do? You have to bring more people. Lin said pitifully. Don't worry, I've brought all my squadrons, everyone who doesn't have a mission. The security team is coming with us as well. Lingshan said. It can't be, head sister, we only have 10 or so people. We won't be able to fight them. Lin continued with a bitter face. You have to think of a way to get more people to help us or we're done for. Lingshan couldn't help but laugh. Did Lin have a dumb side too? Lingshan knew that Lin was faking it and that he was messing with her, but she still felt that it was very fun. Alright, I'll try to get more people. Lingshan couldn't help but laugh. Lin hung up and looked at Xiaoka with a bitter face. Honey, it's bad. Head sister can only get 10 or so people, what should we do? There's no need to do anything, just think about how you're going to compensate us later. Blackbird looked at Lin Yi's helpless expression and laughed. You're hilarious. You want to find someone to help you? You don't have enough people yet you're still looking for reinforcements? Look at the time, it's already too late. Yeah, what should we do? Lin Yi sighed. Don't worry, maybe senior sister sect leader has a way. Xiaoka knew that Lin Yi was acting. If Lin Yi really couldn't find anyone, why would he stand there and wait for Blackbird's men to kill him? It was obvious that Lin Yi had a plan. Otherwise it would be a piece of cake for him to defeat Blackbird and run away. That's the only way. Lin Yi nodded. One had to admit that the thief organization was very efficient, or rather their headquarters wasn't far from here. After a while, a group of people with knives and iron rods rushed over from the front and back of Old Tao Alley, surrounding Lin Yi and Xiaoka in the middle. Blackbird was overjoyed when he saw his men. When he saw Giant Deer, he quickly ran over. Giant Deer Bro, it's them. One is Xiaoka and the other is her man. What happened to the 4 brothers on the ground? Giant Deer looked at the 4 men who were wailing on the ground and frowned. That kid practiced a skill called armor protection technique. We tried to punch him but we ended up like this. Blackbird quickly explained. That strong? Giant Deer froze. He didn't expect that there was such a skill. Wouldn't it be bad luck for whoever hit him? Yes, it's really strong. However, he accidentally said that he's not afraid of being hit, but he's afraid of being cut by knives. Blackbird said proudly, I think he's not afraid of heart attacks, but he's afraid of sharp knives. And that makes sense. Giant Deer nodded. While the two were talking, Xiaoka had some free time. She whispered to Lin Yi, Hey, did you call for help? There are so many of them. Can you do it? If I can't, I'll run. Lin Yi smiled. I'm not joking with you. I can't die. If I die, no one will take care of the children in the orphanage. They will starve to death. Xiao Xiao was panicking. Did you really come out to steal money for the children in the orphanage? Lin Yi looked at Xiaoka. From her appearance, she didn't look like a luxurious person. With her daily income, she shouldn't be dressed like this. Of course. You want to donate to me? I'll accept it too, Xiaoka said. Hey, you can find another way to earn money. It's not good to steal money all the time. Lin Yi didn't like the profession of thief, but he didn't hate it either. After all, his master was a master thief. However, Lin Yi felt that Xiaoka's skills were too weak. With this level of skill, she would fall sooner or later. What kind of profession can earn money that fast? Xiaoka rolled her eyes. Hundreds of people have to eat every day. Do you know how expensive things are now? Have you bought daily necessities? Even with a food budget of 10 yuan per person per day, it would still cost more than 1,000 yuan. In addition to buying study materials, injections and medicine for the sick children, clothes, bedsheets, cups and other daily necessities as well as utilities, broadband, gas and cable TV, how could he not have at least 50,000 yuan per month? I'm a girl. Where can I earn 50,000 yuan? If I sell it, I might not be able to earn that much in the future. You really don't know how hard it is for others if you're not in charge. Lin Yi didn't think that his words would cause Xiaoka to complain like this. But thinking about it, she must have kept these words in her heart for a long time. It was just that she usually didn't have anyone to talk to. Now that she finally had someone to talk to, she poured out everything she knew. But speaking of which, Xiaoka did have a hard time. Earning 50,000 yuan a month, there really wasn't any profession that could have such a high income. Xiaoka didn't have any skills. It was no wonder that she could only come out to steal. Doesn't anyone else donate to the orphanage? Lin Yi asked. There is, but what can we do with 3,000 and 5,000? Xiaoka shook her head and sighed. Sigh. Lin Yi felt a little emotional. If what Xiaoke said was true, then Linny really admired this girl. She supported an orphanage all by herself. No matter what she did to earn money, she was a great person. By the way, you mentioned something about the iron armor art before. Does it really exist? Can you teach it to me? Xiaoke thought about how Linny dealt with the four men and felt a little envious. Chapter 780. Pulling the cushion. Linny had gotten addicted to studying the energy in his body these past few days. These men's hands were naturally caused by the energy explosion that destroyed their bones and meridians. It had nothing to do with where they hit. Lin Yi used the art of dragon mastery to compress the energy in his body the moment they hit him, and then injected it into the men's fists. The effect was obvious, and the men's fists were instantly destroyed. Of course, Lin Yi was just experimenting and only compressed a small amount of energy. Otherwise, not just a fist but an entire arm or even their entire body could explode. These people were all normal people who had never trained before, and had no way of resisting the damage from the instantaneous release of energy. Oh, then can you teach me? Xiaoke was very envious. If she had Lin Yi's skill, she wouldn't have to live in fear every day. No. Lin Yi shook his head. Tsk so stingy. Xiaoke pouted like a child. You know Qigong, so you should have heard of Golden Class Masters? Lin Yi looked at Xiaoke and asked. Of course, my master was a Golden Class Master when he was young, but he was injured by an enemy. Xiaoke suddenly realized that she had said too much, and that she had said too much. How could she tell these secrets to someone she had just met? What if he was her master's enemy? She quickly shut her mouth and looked at Lin Yi cautiously. Then you can learn when you become a Golden Class Master. You might be able to learn it then. Lin Yi smiled. Lin Yi naturally didn't pay much attention to Xiaoke's background, and Xiaoke thought too much. No way? You're a Golden Class Master? Xiaoke paused and looked at Lin Yi in surprise. No. Lin Yi shook his head. Tsk, I knew it. Xiaoke was a little disappointed. How can you meet a Golden Class Master so easily? Hey, when is that senior sister sect leader of yours coming? Our leader brother Giant Deer has arrived. Blackbird was full of confidence now. With Giant Deer supporting him, he wasn't afraid of Lin Yi and Yu Xiaoke at all. Soon. Lin Yi said carefully, why are there so many of you? Are you all here? Nonsense, if your Flying Sparrow Gate wants to fight to the death, of course, we will give you face and bring everyone here. Blackbird laughed. Are you afraid? Of course not. Lin Yi suddenly smiled. Our people are here. He's here? Where is it? Brother Giant Deer was stunned, and then his face suddenly became a little ugly. Suddenly, ear-piercing sirens sounded from both ends of the alley at the same time. Countless police officers surrounded the alley from both sides at the same time. People inside, listen up. You've been surrounded. Put down your weapons and surrender to lessen your charges. As the police rushed over, a loudspeaker began to shout. Fuck. What's going on? Giant Deer stared at Blackbird and asked, why are the police here? I don't know. Who knows how the police got the news? Blackbird suddenly stopped and stared at Lin Yi. It's you called the police here. Oh, you're not stupid? Lin Yi looked at Blackbird's flustered expression and couldn't help but laugh. But it's too late. It's useless even if you understand. Fuck. Giant Deer bro, this kid called the police. If we get caught, we'll drag him down with us. Blackbird was furious. He didn't expect Lin Yi to play such a trick and call the police here. He originally thought that Lin Yi was really looking for the Flying Sparrow Gate to fight to the death. He didn't expect that it wasn't the case at all. Brothers, go. Hack him to death. Brother Giant Deer ordered his men. However, at this moment, these thieves didn't dare to attack Lin Yi. They were surrounded by the police and couldn't escape. They would be caught by the police sooner or later. If they attacked now, wouldn't it increase their charges? Who would do such a stupid thing? Therefore, after Giant Deer gave his order, his men looked at each other. No one was willing to attack Lin Yi and Yu Xiaoke first. Didn't you hear what I said? Kill them. Giant Deer panicked. Whoever kills them will get a reward of 100,000 yuan each. Giant Deer thought that there would be brave men under a high reward. If he didn't put up some rewards, who would kill them? Therefore, he didn't say 10 or 20,000 yuan. Instead, he put up a reward of 100,000 yuan. Of course, if he put up a reward of 100,000 yuan during normal times, his men would definitely accept the order to kill them. But now they were about to be caught by the police. Giant Deer and Blackbird couldn't escape this fate. Where could they get 100,000 yuan? Therefore, even if he could get the 100,000 yuan, he wouldn't be able to spend it even if he had his life. Hacking someone was much more serious than simple theft. If he went to jail, what was the use of money? Therefore, not to mention 100,000 yuan, even if Brother Giant Deer offered a sky-high price of 1 million yuan at this time, no one would be stupid enough to kill him. This alley was surrounded by police. No one could escape. Giant Deer obviously knew this. He grabbed a knife from one of his men and prepared to kill Lin Yi and Yu Xiaoka himself. Others were afraid of aggravating the charges, but Giant Deer wasn't. Brother Giant Deer was the leader of the thief group. The stolen goods that had passed through his hands were worth more than 100 million. Moreover, he had killed a few burglars. He knew very well that entering the police station was a dead end. He would definitely not be able to get out. Therefore, he wasn't afraid. Before he died, he wanted to drag someone down with him. Therefore, he held the knife and went to kill Lin Yi. Little bastard, how dare you trick me? Even if I go in today, I won't let you have it easy. Giant Deer was a ruthless character. Otherwise, he wouldn't have killed so many people. He swung the knife at Lin Yi's head. No matter what armor you have, it's useless. No matter how good your martial arts is, you're still afraid of a knife. Have you heard of this? I have. Lin Yi nodded before lifting his leg and kicking. Giant Deer was like a kite with a broken string, flying out in the direction of Lin Yi's kick, smashing through the lackeys behind him. He didn't seem to have any intention of stopping, crashing all the way back until he hit the last lackey in the row behind him. Only then did he land heavily on the ground. Chapter 781. Let's talk quietly. Needless to say, Lin Yi's strength was very precise. If he used more strength, Giant Deer would have hit the police behind him. If he used less strength, he wouldn't have been able to sit on the knife. Lin Yi's kick shocked Giant Deer's lackeys. Blackbird was also shocked. He looked at Lin Yi in shock. Didn't you only cultivate the protective armor technique? Why are you so strong? Blackbird looked at Lin Yi in disbelief and stuttered. If Giant Deer Bro hadn't arrived, wouldn't Lin Yi have kicked him to death with that one? Blackbird knew that Giant Deer used to practice taekwondo and his body was very strong. If Giant Deer could be kicked dozens of meters away by Lin Yi, how could Blackbird withstand it? It seemed that Lin Yi was pretending to be afraid. He wasn't afraid at all. Lin Yi's purpose of doing this was to get all the members of the thief gang to be arrested by the police. Blackbird understood that he was tricked by Lin Yi. And he was tricked by Lin Yi. However, although he was angry, he didn't dare to go against Lin Yi. He was afraid that Lin Yi would kick him too. If that happened, he wouldn't be able to live anymore. Especially when he saw Giant Deer sitting on the knife, Blackbird's heart skipped a beat. He wondered if Giant Deer was dead or not. Blackbird knew that the reason why Giant Deer dared to fight against Lin Yi and wanted to drag Lin Yi down with him was because Giant Deer wouldn't be able to come out after being sent to the police station. However, Blackbird wasn't. Although he was the second leader of the thief gang, he wasn't the main culprit. Plus, he didn't kill anyone. He only raped a few women, so he didn't deserve to die. When did I say that I only practiced armor protection? Lin Yi asked back. This. Blackbird froze. He thought about what Lin Yi said and realized that Lin Yi really didn't say that he only practiced armor protection. She'd taken everything for granted, thinking that Lin Yi wasn't afraid of getting beaten up because of the armor arts he practiced. She didn't know that Lin Yi was just as good at hitting people. Blackbird sighed and accepted his fate. However, he sneered at Lin Yi and Yu Xiaoka. When the police come, I'll report your identities. If we go to jail, don't think about getting away with it. With the police here, you won't be able to do anything. Isn't that kick a little too strong? Xiaoka looked at Lin Yi shocked. How's that Giant Deer Bro? Maybe his butt was cut off or maybe both his balls were cut off. Lin Yi shrugged. Blackbird shivered when he heard that. So cruel. He still had one egg, but this brother Giant Deer didn't even have two? Yu Xiaoka heard Lin Yi's words and giggled. Serves him right. In front of the armed police, the thief gang members did not resist at all. They all surrendered. They were thieves, not gangsters. Most of them only committed theft and would be released after a few years in jail. Why would they resist? Lingshan didn't expect all the thieves to be here. Wasn't Lin Yi too powerful? He tricked all these people into coming here and waiting for her to catch them? Lingshan's heart was filled with pride and excitement as she looked at the police cars she'd brought, filled with the members of the thief organization. Throughout the history of the Songshan Police Department, no one had ever caught so many thieves at one time. It was like picking up the whole nest. Just when Lingshan was lost in her thoughts, a figure flew in front of her. Ouch! He screamed in pain and fainted with his butt covered in blood. Captain Song, isn't that the leader of the thief organization, the wanted criminal named Giant Deer? Lu Wangli immediately recognized the person who flew over. It was Giant Deer, the wanted criminal of the police department. However, he hid very well and the police couldn't find him. Is it really giant deer? Ling Shan had heard from Lin Yi that the boss of the thief organization would be coming as well, but it was a different feeling now that she'd actually caught him. Yes. Lu Wangli really admired his superior. Her efficiency in solving cases was unparalleled. Even Yang Huaijuan couldn't solve cases this fast when he was the captain. Ling Shan could solve a case as soon as there was one. From Lu Wangli's point of view, this thief organization case was going to be a headache. It was easy to catch one or two thieves, but to completely destroy the entire organization, that was a different story. This wasn't something that could be done in a day or two. But it only took a day, and Ling Shan actually brought the entire criminal police team to arrest them. The entire organization seemed to be waiting to be caught, from the leader to the normal members. Everyone had a part in it. Not a single one of them could escape. You stay here, I'll go over there for a bit. Ling Shan said as she looked through the gap in the deer's path. As Lin Yi's silly girl, Ling Shan had to thank Lin Yi as soon as possible after receiving benefits from Lin Yi. Ling Shan knew very well that no matter how much Lin Yi spoiled her, there was a limit. If she really made Lin Yi unhappy, then there would be nothing left. Lu Wangli saw the direction Ling Shan was heading to, and he also saw Lin Yi. He couldn't help but be stunned. Lin Yi, what was he doing here? Suddenly, Lu Wangli remembered the first time they solved the bank robbery case. Lin Yi was also there with Ling Shan, and he seemed to have guessed something. Could it be that Lin Yi was involved in this? It was possible. Otherwise, why would Lin Yi appear here out of coincidence? And why was Ling Shan in such a hurry to see Lin Yi? But thinking about the rumors, Lin Yi was Ling Shan's rumored boyfriend. So, even if Lin Yi was involved, Lu Wangli didn't think there was anything wrong with it. So what if he helped his girlfriend solve the case? It was the law of the land, and it was Ling Shan's family who did it. No one could take it away from him. With that thought, Lu Wangli felt relieved. He didn't need to care about these things anymore. He just needed to follow Ling Shan's footsteps. It didn't matter if Ling Shan was strong or if Lin Yi was strong, it didn't matter. Ling Shan had done a good job and he would get benefits as her follower. If he followed Ling Shan closely, his future would be bright. Lin Yi saw Ling Shan walking towards him and smiled. You're not slow, are you? Chapter 782. I want to make a report. It's nothing, Lin Yi shook his head. I want to make a report. Officer, I want to make a report. Blackbird suddenly shouted at this moment. Report? What do you want to report? Ling Shan wasn't happy that she was interrupted. She immediately recognized Blackbird as the second in command of the thief group. Ling Shan frowned. Don't play any tricks, spit it out if you have something to say. Officer, I want to report them. They are thieves as well. They are from the famous Fian sect. Blackbird knew that he wouldn't be able to come out for a while, so he wanted to drag someone down with him. The people he wanted to drag down were Lin Yi and Yu Xiaoke. From his point of view, Lin Yi and Yu Xiaoke were informants. Ling Shan didn't treat them as thieves, so Blackbird wanted to expose them. Fian sect? Ling Shan froze. She turned to look at Lin Yi and realized that Yu Xiaoke was hiding behind Lin Yi. Ling Shan was focused on Lin Yi and didn't notice Yu Xiaoke beside Lin Yi. However, with Blackbird's reminder, she immediately realized that this was the female cat burglar she hadn't been able to catch. Xiaoke knew that something was wrong when she saw Ling Shan walking over. She wanted to run, but there were thieves all around her, and behind them, there were layers of police officers surrounding her. How could she run? So Yu Xiaoke hid behind Lin Yi and prayed that Ling Shan wouldn't notice her. In fact, Ling Shan really didn't notice her and thought that she was a member of the thief group. She only talked to Lin Yi for a while. Xiaoke was feeling lucky, but who would have thought that Blackbird bro would report her to Ling Shan? For a moment, Yu Xiaoke was furious. She really wanted to kick Blackbird's remaining balls. This guy was too despicable. Yes, it's Yu Xiaoke from the Fian sect, that woman. Blackbird saw Ling Shan's stunned expression and thought that she didn't know who Yu Xiaoxiao was. He quickly continued, the Fian sect is one of the most famous thief organizations, and this woman is one of the most active thieves in the sect. Not only does she steal money from others, but she also takes advantage of others. Just the money she stole from our organization is more than 100,000. The man next to her was her husband and also one of the core members of Fian Gate. Officer, don't be fooled by them. Blackbird spilled out Yu Xiaoke's crimes in one breath. He hated Yu Xiaoke to the core. He came here to take revenge on Yu Xiaoke, but not only did he fail, he was caught by the police. How could he accept this? So before he was caught, he had to do everything he could to take revenge on Yu Xiaoke. Ling Shan couldn't help but frown at Xiaoke's words. Since when did Lin Yi join Fian sect? He's Xiaoke's man now? Ling Shan wasn't happy at the thought. Yu Xiaoke was quite lucky, wasn't she? She actually had a boyfriend like Lin Yi? Why were all these women so lucky? She worked so hard and only Linny didn't call her Miss Braindead. But Yu Xiaoke probably didn't know Linny for long and she could already make Linny do things for her? Ling Shan felt that it was unfair and glared at Yu Xiaoke. Yu Xiaoke, you didn't think that you wouldn't run away in the end, did you? You still fell into my hands in the end? Ling Shan sis, I'm the informant now. Without me you wouldn't have been able to catch so many thief organization members, right? Yu Xiaoke said as she looked around for a possible escape route. Yu Xiaoke saw that Linny knew Ling Shan, so she couldn't rely on Linny anymore. She could only put her hope on herself and see if she could find a chance to escape. Informant? But this Blackbird informant too? He's informant too? Ling Shan wasn't moved at all. Yu Xiaoke was a criminal, and she had the responsibility to bring her to justice. Yu Xiaoke had been registered in the police station for a long time. Many rich and powerful people had come to report cases, and Yu Xiaoke had been robbed or even beaten up. Ling Shan placed a lot of importance on these cases, and had set up a few operations to capture Yu Xiaoke. Who would have thought that Yu Xiaoke's Qinggong was so good, and she managed to escape a few times. Even though he was a golden class master, he couldn't catch up to Xiaoke's Qinggong. Her Qinggong seemed to be a unique skill, and although he didn't see how strong she was able to run faster than anyone else. Yu Xiaoke's name was much bigger than the thief organization. There was no other reason than that Yu Xiaoke specialized in stealing from the rich and heartless, and these people were usually rich and powerful. When something happened they would naturally report it to the police, and as time went by, Yu Xiaoke became the focus of the police. When these rich people reported to the police, they naturally wouldn't say what they had done before, and they would only blame Yu Xiaoke. Ling Shan didn't know Yu Xiaoke's motive, and so she treated Yu Xiaoke as a thief who specialized in stealing from the rich. Sigh, alright Ling Shan sis, I admit defeat this time, I'll go with you. Yu Xiaoke lowered her head and walked towards Ling Shan slowly, as if she was surrendering. But before she could finish, Yu Xiaoke's footsteps changed, and she quickly went around Ling Shan, running behind Ling Shan. Yu Xiaoke had already observed the terrain, and behind Ling Shan was a path that Linny had opened with Giant Deerbro's body. As long as Yu Xiaoke followed this path, she might be able to escape. After all, the police were busy stuffing the thieves into the cars, and not many would notice Yu Xiaoke. By the time they did, it would be too late. Where do you think you're going? Ling Shan laughed coldly, slapping Yu Xiaoke's back. Ling Shan had interacted with Yu Xiaoke many times, and of course she knew what kind of person Yu Xiaoke was. Ling Shan didn't believe that Yu Xiaoke would admit defeat. Yu Xiaoke was a smart girl, and as long as there was a chance she would run like crazy. Why would she admit defeat? Chapter 783. How unlucky. Of course, Ling Shan only wanted to capture Yu Xiaoke, not kill her. Otherwise, with Ling Shan's strength as a golden class master, Yu Xiaoke would probably be reborn or transmigrated to another world. Ah! Yu Xiaoke screamed in pain as she flew backwards and fell on the ground. She spat out a mouthful of blood and fainted. Linny didn't think that Ling Shan would suddenly attack and frowned. Why did you hit her? If I didn't hit her, would I have been able to capture her? Ling Shan didn't feel comfortable hearing Lin Yi speak up for Yu Xiaoke. I told you to capture those thieves, not her. Lin Yi had a good impression of Yu Xiaoke. Although they hadn't known each other for a long time, if Yu Xiaoke wasn't lying, then she was worthy of Lin Yi's respect. She was able to support an orphanage all by herself. How much courage and perseverance did she need to be able to do that? She's a thief too. Ling Shan looked at Lin Yi stubbornly. She had her own principles. Although she always acted like a yes-man in front of Lin Yi, she couldn't let that destroy her principles and perseverance. Lin Yi was surprised by Ling Shan's expression. Ling Shan had always been docile in front of him, but now she had a disagreement with him. However, Lin Yi thought about it and understood Ling Shan's position. She was a soldier and Yu Xiaoke was a thief. It was natural for soldiers to catch thieves. However, Ling Shan and Yu Xiaoke were in different positions. Yu Xiaoke felt that it was okay for her to steal money for the orphanage, but Ling Shan felt that no matter what, Yu Xiaoke was a thief. Lin Yi nodded and didn't make things difficult for Ling Shan anymore. Blackbird, on the other hand, was extremely pleased. Xiaoke was beaten up by Ling Shan, and he was finally able to vent the anger he had been suppressing for a long time. Xiaoke, did you want to send us to jail? Then I'll send you in first. What about now? Not only will you be beaten up, but you will also be arrested. Lin Yi wanted to check on Yu Xiaoke's injuries. When he passed by Blackbird, Lin Yi accidentally bumped into him. Blackbird was too happy to notice. However, after Lin Yi passed by, Blackbird felt that something was wrong. Why did he suddenly feel hot all over? A surge of desire rose from the bottom of his heart, and Blackbird's eyes became blurry. He looked at Lingshan with a ferocious expression. From the looks of it, he was trying his best to control his emotions, but it was only for a split second before he went berserk, pouncing on Lingshan. "Little girl, give it to me, I want you to play with me once?" Lingshan looked at Blackbird, who had yellow teeth and smelly breath, and felt disgusted. She didn't understand. Wasn't Brother Blackbird too daring? How dare he take liberties with her in public? Did he want to die? Lingshan was puzzled when Blackbird's hand reached for her chest. Lingshan was enraged and kicked Blackbird's crotch. Blackbird screamed in pain and fell to the ground. The last thing he said before he fainted was, "My other balls?" This was naturally Lin Yi's doing. Lin Yi only stimulated a few acupoints on his body, making him have the urge to sleep with someone else. In fact, this method could also be used on impotence and lack of desire. However, Blackbird had a strong desire to begin with, and after Lin Yi's teasing he lost his mind. The members of the thief organization also felt strange. Did Blackbird lose his mind? How dare he take liberties with Lingshan? Wasn't he looking for death? However, they couldn't even protect themselves, so they didn't have the time to care about Blackbird's madness. All of them lowered their heads and didn't dare to breathe loudly. They were afraid that they would be Lingshan's next target. However, Lingshan didn't want to argue with them and went to look for an ambulance. Lu Wangli had already called an ambulance for Giant Deer Bro. Now Yu Xiaoka and Blackbird were in the ambulance. Lin Yi naturally didn't care about Blackbird's life and walked towards Yu Xiaoka. Squatting down, Lin Yi wanted to check on Yu Xiaoka's injuries. However, Yu Xiaoka suddenly opened her eyes and gave Lin Yi a look. Lin Yi was surprised. "You didn't faint?" "I'm alright. I can barely hold on." Yu Xiaoka forced a smile. "Thank you for taking revenge for me." Yu Xiaoka must have guessed that Lin Yi did something to Blackbird. Otherwise, Blackbird wouldn't dare to take liberties with the female officer at this time. Did he think his life wasn't long enough? It's nothing." Lin Yi didn't know why, but he felt pity for the pitiful Yu Xiaoka. Lin Yi was a cold person by nature, and he maintained a high level of indifference towards his enemies and strangers. He only treated his friends with sincerity. As for Xiaoka, he had only met her for the second time, and he was deeply moved by her experience. Lin Yi could be considered as an orphan, and Yu Xiaoka was probably the same. Otherwise, she wouldn't have worked so hard for the orphanage. The two of them had some similarities. "Song Lingshan is here. I'm going to faint. Don't expose me." Yu Xiaoka blinked her eyes and suddenly, her head tilted and she fainted on the ground again. Since Yu Xiaoka said so, Lin Yi couldn't help her anymore. At this time, Song Lingshan directed the paramedics to carry the stretcher over. Lin Yi stood up and moved to the side. Song Lingshan helped the paramedics carry Yu Xiaoka and Blackbird onto the stretcher and walked towards the ambulance. The thief organization members were mostly caught. Even if they weren't caught, they didn't dare to move. There were armed police in front and behind them. They couldn't run even if they wanted to. They might as well wait for the police to deal with them. "You ran with them?" Song Lingshan saw that Lin Yi followed and asked softly. Lin Yi looked at Song Lingshan and didn't explain. It was complicated to explain. He had to start from the beggar. Lin Yi was too lazy to explain in detail. Song Lingshan felt wronged and worried. Was Lin Yi blaming her for being a busybody? Shouldn't she ask so much? Chapter 784. Chapter 784, Xiaoka sis. But Lingshan just couldn't understand, what was so good about Xiaoka? She was just a female cat burglar, and Lin Yi was taking care of her? The moment Xiaoka's stretcher was about to enter the ambulance, Xiaoka jumped off and waved at Lingshan. "Lingshan sis, bye-bye, I'm leaving." The ambulance was outside the police cordon, and so there weren't many police officers around. Even if there were, they were only there to assist the paramedics. They didn't think that these heavily injured people would be able to get up and run. "Xiaoka, stop right there." Lingshan was pissed off. This Xiaoka was too cunning. She pretended to faint and waited for her to let her guard down before escaping from the stretcher. It was too late for her to catch her now. Xiaoka may be injured, but her qinggong wasn't just for show. Lingshan was regretting that she didn't hit Xiaoka too hard, giving her an opportunity to take advantage of. In fact, Lingshan misunderstood. Xiaoka's injuries were very heavy, and a golden class master's attack wasn't something a normal person could take, even if she didn't use her full strength. The reason why Xiaoka was able to get up and run away despite her injuries was because of the conviction in her heart that she couldn't be caught by Lingshan. If she was caught, it wouldn't matter if she went to jail, but what would happen to the children in the orphanage? Lingshan's eyes lit up. So, even if Xiaoka had to die, she had to grit her teeth and run back. She had to take care of all the kids in the orphanage. Her responsibility was too heavy, and she couldn't afford to make any mistakes. Lingshan sis, we'll meet again. Xiaoka's face was in pain, but her voice was happy. She'd finally escaped Lingshan's pursuit once more. You Xiaoka, remember this. See if I don't kill you next time. Lingshan glared at Xiaoka hatefully. She was pissed off. Xiaoka didn't argue with Lingshan. She knew her own situation and she was heavily injured. She was gritting her teeth and running back to the orphanage. Lin Yi thought of something and said to Lingshan, I'll go take a look. You can catch her? Lingshan was overjoyed after hearing Lin Yi's words. She thought that Lin Yi was going to help her catch Xiaoka. No, she's not in a good condition. I'm afraid that you'll kill her. Lin Yi said as he followed. Lingshan stomped her feet angrily. It seemed like Lin Yi could have caught Xiaoka, but he didn't, going to check on Xiaoka's injuries instead. But she couldn't interfere with Lin Yi's business. She was angry but she didn't dare to object to Lin Yi. Lin Yi followed Xiaoka secretly, and saw her running towards the slums. Lin Yi had to admit that Xiaoka was very fast. If he wasn't mystic and good at speed, Lin Yi might not be able to catch up to Xiaoka. Xiaoka was very fast, and in the blink of an eye she had passed through the slums and arrived in front of a dilapidated courtyard. She pushed the door open and entered the courtyard. Perhaps it was because she had used up the last bit of energy in her body, but the moment she entered the courtyard she fell to the ground and couldn't get up again. Lin Yi admired Xiaoka's endurance. It was so far away and she used her last bit of energy to run here. It was very rare. This was a very dilapidated courtyard. At the gate of the courtyard, there was a wooden sign with black characters on a white background. However, because of the age it was already mottled. There were only a few vague words on it. If you looked closely, you could see that it said Shantytown Private Orphanage. So it was an orphanage? After seeing the sign, Lin Yi's suspicions towards Xiaoka disappeared. He was 100% sure that what Xiaoka said was true. But the orphanage was so dilapidated that it made Lin Yi a little moved. Lin Yi walked over quickly and came to Xiaoka's side. He bent down and reached out his hand to check on Xiaoka's injuries. Who are you? Let go of Xiaoka sis. Bad guy. Stay away from Xiaoka sis. Suddenly, a group of kids ran out from the only red brick house in the courtyard and surrounded Lin Yi. They didn't want Lin Yi to get close to Xiaoka. Xiaoka sis, what's wrong? Oh. Xiaoka sis, why are you vomiting blood? A little girl cried when she saw the blood at the corner of Xiaoka's mouth. The other boys on the other hand glared at Lin Yi. Who are you? Why did you hurt Xiaoka sis? Lin Yi didn't think that his kind action would be misunderstood by these kids, but he didn't mind it. After all, these kids didn't know anything. Seeing Xiaoka lying here, they naturally thought that he was the bad guy who hurt Xiaoka. However, there was one thing that Lin Yi could see. These kids had a deep relationship with Xiaoka, so what Xiaoka said before was true. She stole the money for these kids, for this orphanage. What are you doing? Go back now. An authoritative voice sounded. Lin Yi looked up and saw an old woman in her 50s walking out from the red brick house. She quickly walked to Lin Yi and looked at Xiaoka on the ground, then at Lin Yi. She had a complicated expression on her face. Principal, this person is a bad guy. He hurt Xiaoka sis. Xiaoka sis is vomiting blood. Should we call the police and arrest him? Stop arguing. Go back now. The old woman called Principal shouted at the kids. There's nothing for you to do here. Go back and read your books. But Principal, Xiaoka sis is vomiting blood. Woo-woo. The younger girl cried and didn't want to leave. What? My words don't work, do they? All of you go back. The old woman yelled at the girl and pulled her over to prevent her from getting close to Lin Yi. She then turned to one of the older boys. Ken, take your brother and sister back. Chapter 785. She'll die if you don't save her, but it was obvious that the kids were worried about Xiaoka's situation. How could they relax after seeing Xiaoka vomit blood? After the kids left, the old woman looked at Lin Yi. Xiaoka stole your money, right? But you're really too vicious. You actually chased her all the way here. She stole your money, I can compensate you, I hope you can let Xiaoka go. She's a good child, I believe you've seen it too, she stole all the money for the sake of this orphanage. If it wasn't for the fact that I'm useless, I wouldn't have let this child out. The old woman didn't want the kids to know that their beloved Xiaoka sis went out to earn money for them every day, but in reality she was stealing. Only she knew about this and no one else knew about it. This was also why the old woman told the kids to go in. It was best to hide this from the kids as much as possible. It was best not to let the kids know about this beforehand, or else it wouldn't be good for their growth. Lin Yi paused after hearing the old woman's words, and understood that she misunderstood. She thought he was the one who threw the things and he was the one who caused Xiaoka's injuries. That was why he came here. The old woman knew Xiaoka's skills. She wasn't very strong, but someone who could injure her wasn't weak either. Lin Yi was obviously skilled in martial arts if he could injure Xiaoka. The old woman couldn't see through Lin Yi's strength, but she was still cautious. So the old lady said a few words for Xiaoka, hoping that Lin Yi could understand. You misunderstood, she didn't steal my money. Lin Yi shook his head. You didn't steal? The old woman paused and looked at Lin Yi, surprised. If she didn't steal, then why did you do this? The old woman's tone became serious, and her face showed a vigilant expression. Her aura rose in an instant. Golden class. Lin Yi was slightly taken aback, but he shook his head. Your strength isn't at the golden class, but your aura is there. How strange. The old woman raised her aura, and Lin Yi instantly sensed that she was at the early phase of the golden class. However, Lin Yi soon felt that something was wrong. Although her aura was at the golden class, the true qi on the old woman's body was not strong. At this moment, it was already very good to have half of the strength of the golden class. It seemed that half of her true qi was sealed by something. You know about the golden class? The old woman's expression suddenly changed. She stared at Lin Yi. She didn't expect Lin Yi to see through her strength at a glance. Was Lin Yi also an expert? I didn't injure Xiaoka, she was injured by Lingshan. Lin Yi didn't answer the old woman's question and explained Xiaoka's injury instead. Lingshan? Lingshan from the city's criminal police team? The old woman had obviously heard of Lingshan's name. Yes, move aside. Xiaoka's injury is very serious and she might die if we don't save her. Lin Yi ignored the old woman and squatted down, holding Xiaoka's hand. The old woman had already decided to fight with Lin Yi, but Lin Yi didn't seem to want to fight at all. He squatted down and exposed his body's weakness to the old woman, and she didn't know what to do. Should she attack or not? The old woman felt that attacking Lin Yi from this angle would give her an absolute advantage. At the very least, she would be able to gain the upper hand, but Lin Yi said that he didn't injure Xiaoka, and that he was here to save her? The old woman didn't believe Lin Yi's words, but seeing that he was holding Xiaoka's hand, it didn't seem like he wanted to hurt her. Her heart relaxed a little, but she still looked at Lin Yi cautiously, afraid that Lin Yi would hurt Xiaoka. Lin Yi checked Xiaoka's injuries. Lingshan's palm had only shifted Xiaoka's organs, and she'd be able to recover after some rest. But Xiaoka had used her last breath to run back to the orphanage, aggravating her injuries. She'd already sustained internal injuries, and if she didn't get treated soon, there'd be repercussions even if she did recover. Find me a quiet room, don't let anyone disturb me. Lin Yi carried Xiaoka and ordered the old woman. You really want to save Xiaoka? The old woman naturally didn't believe Lin Yi. After all, they only met once and she didn't know the relationship between Lin Yi and Xiaoka. She was a little hesitant. If you can heal her, I'll let you do it, Lin Yi said faintly. How could the old woman know how to heal people? If it weren't for Lin Yi, her first reaction would be to send Xiaoka to the hospital. Perhaps Lin Yi touching Xiaoka triggered her injury, but just when the old woman was hesitating whether or not to believe Lin Yi, Xiaoka woke up. She opened her eyes with difficulty and saw that she was in Lin Yi's arms. She paused and said, You're a good friend, are you going to send me to the hospital? Did Song Lingshan chase after me? Xiaoka, how are you? The old woman didn't expect Xiaoka to wake up so suddenly and asked in surprise. Master. Xiaoka saw the old woman too and forced a smile. I'm okay, I got hit by Lingshan. With that, Xiaoka fainted again. She felt that Lin Yi wouldn't leave her to die, and with the dean beside her, she didn't have to hold on anymore. The old woman heard Xiaoka's words and saw that Xiaoka didn't have any hostility towards Lin Yi. She finally calmed down and brought Lin Yi to an empty room. This is Xiaoka's room, separate from the kids. No one will disturb you here. But, can you really save Xiaoka? Lin Yi frowned. Since this old woman was Xiaoka's master, and she really did care about Xiaoka, Lin Yi didn't show too much impatience. I can save her, leave, Lin Yi said faintly. The old woman was in a difficult position. She didn't trust Lin Yi 100%, and she didn't dare to leave casually. She was afraid that Lin Yi would do something to hurt Xiaoka. After all, Xiaoka was very pretty. What if Lin Yi had bad intentions and did whatever he wanted when Xiaoka couldn't move? If Lin Yi knew what the old woman was thinking, he would only smile bitterly. Chapter 786. Xiaoka's boyfriend? Lin Yi had been having a lot of fun using his energy to save people these days. It seemed that his energy would work on anything other than organic diseases, like Jianghu's heart disease. It was especially effective on external injuries after all. Lin Yi silently activated the art of dragon mastery, and the energy in his body flowed into Xiaoka's body. However, Xiaoka's injuries weren't that serious, so she didn't need a lot of energy. Lin Yi didn't feel tired at all, and not long after, Xiaoka's face regained some color. The old woman's eyes widened in shock. Lin Yi only held Xiaoka's hand and didn't do anything else, and Xiaoka's condition was getting better and better? How was that possible? This didn't make sense. Suddenly, the old woman thought of a shocking possibility. When she was young, she had also suffered a serious injury. Not only was her martial arts crippled, she was also on the verge of death. The old woman's master, in order to let her live, had passed on all her martial arts to the old woman through the method of transferring her martial arts. After that, her master was like an oil lamp that had run out of oil, walking towards the end of her life. The old woman was very grateful to her master, and it was because of this that she understood the unthinkable of passing on energy. Could it be that Lin Yi was passing on energy to Xiaoka right now? Just what was the relationship between Lin Yi and Xiaoka, for Lin Yi to do something like this? How could a normal friendship do something like this? If it were the old woman herself, she would sacrifice herself without hesitation if Xiaoka couldn't be healed. But that was only because she was Xiaoka's master, and they had a deep relationship. But why would Lin Yi do something like this? Could it be that Lin Yi was Xiaoka's boyfriend? The old woman suddenly thought of this possibility and started suspecting it. Otherwise, why would Lin Yi sacrifice himself to save Xiaoka? Was he stupid? With that thought, the old woman was even more sure of her guesses. Xiaoka was 18 this year, and it was the age to fall in love. She had neglected this and treated her as a kid, but Xiaoka wasn't a kid anymore. Xiaoka, on the other hand, was under too much pressure every day. She had to take care of an orphanage all by herself, and it was too tiring. Emotional comfort could relieve some of her pressure. Of course, she had strict requirements for Xiaoka's boyfriend, but now that she saw Lin Yi using pure qi to save Xiaoka, she dispelled her doubts about Lin Yi's character. If he didn't treat Xiaoka well, who would do this? Who? Lin Yi let out a long breath and let go of Xiaoka's hand. Xiaoka needed far less qi than Xiao Xiao, Mengyao, and General Wei Wu, so although Lin Yi lost some qi, it was nothing to Lin Yi. Alright, she'll wake up in a bit. Lin Yi breathed out in relief. He had his own standards, and although he could help Lingshan solve the case, he could also stop her from catching Xiaoka. I'm leaving. What? You're leaving just like that? The old woman was really confused now. Of course, what confused her was that Lin Yi's face didn't even blush when he used his pure energy to save Xiaoka. This surprised her a lot. There were only two possibilities. One was that Lin Yi's strength was far beyond her imagination, and the other was that Lin Yi wasn't using pure qi? What was it then? The second thing that confused her was that Lin Yi spent so much effort to save Xiaoka. Normally, he would be waiting for Xiaoka to wake up, and she'd be so touched that she'd be in a mess. This was something that young couples should do under normal circumstances, right? But Lin Yi didn't seem to care at all. I still have things to do, I'll be leaving first. Lin Yi nodded. Right, if Lingshan doesn't let her go, tell her to call me. This is my number. With that, Lin Yi wrote his number on the calendar next to Xiaoka's bed. Wait. May I ask, did you use pure qi to treat you, Xiaoka? The old woman asked the question she had in her mind. You could say that, Lin Yi nodded. Can Xiaoka use your pure qi? The old woman wasn't very strong, but she knew that if it wasn't from the same school, the similarity between qi was close to zero, and it couldn't be used interchangeably. Forcefully injecting it into someone else's body wouldn't benefit them at all. Yes, Lin Yi said. Alright, I'll be leaving first. With that, he turned around and left Xiaoka's room, ignoring the old woman. Lin Yi wasn't very familiar with Xiaoka, much less the old woman. So, in terms of helping Xiaoka, Lin Yi did this much was already very good. She stole so much money, but she didn't know how to enjoy it. She was wearing the cheapest clothes on the street, and the room was very simple. The window was broken and the writing desk was broken. There wasn't even a decent closet. The only luxury item was the computer on the writing desk. Lin Yi was helping Xiaoka because he really liked the girl. She had a hard life, but she was optimistic. She found joy in her pain every day. She stole so much money, but she didn't know how to enjoy a single cent of it. She wore the cheapest clothes on the street and the room was very simple. The monitor with the big head was already obsolete, and the case was missing a panel. The keyboard and mouse were also the oldest, but they were wiped clean. Someone probably didn't want them anymore and donated them, right? For a young and beautiful girl, makeup, dressing table and wardrobe were necessary items, but they weren't in Xiaoka's room. There was a bottle of Debao Sod honey on the desk, and the only thing left was a box of hand oil that was rarely seen in shells. It was hard for Lin Yi to imagine how this girl lived every day. She had so much money, but she never fell for it? As for the closet, it was a big cardboard box on the ground. There were a few clothes scattered inside, but it was pitiful. Other than underwear, there were only 2 to 3 sets of outer clothes. It was quite pitiful. So, if it was possible, Lin Yi wouldn't hesitate to help Xiaoke. He wasn't just helping Xiaoke herself, but all the children in the orphanage.